I call the Charlottesville City Council meeting back into order. We will now go into our business meeting, but before we do that, we will be read out of closed session.
I move that this council certify by a recorded vote that to the best of each council member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act and identified in the motion convening the closed session were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed session.
Is there a second?
Second.
Before we, I forgot to invite Lloyd back in. We had already certified that Lloyd is working, not working, he's on vacation, but he will be joining us remotely. Lloyd, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Okay, so.
Can we turn Lloyd up just a little bit, Remy, please? There we go.
All right, and so it's been moved and properly second. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe a little
down.
lower.
Yeah, a little bit. All opposed, please say no. Great. We did make an appointment in closed session. Are you going to read that, Natalie? Do you?
Oh, do I just make a motion? Yeah, let me pull it up. Sorry, gotta get their names right. A motion to appoint to the Retirement Commission Michelle Christian and Barbara Seitz.
Second?
All in favor, please say yes.
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 All opposed, please say no. Great. Before we begin, we will have a moment of silence. Great. Thank you all very much. Are there any announcements?
I would,
Yeah.
just two announcements. One, just an acknowledgement of, at the end of last month, the ICE raids that occurred in Greene County. Around 50 individuals were arrested with work vehicles indiscriminately stopped. I know it's all part of our broader Charlottesville community, and many of those folks impacted have connections to Charlottesville, work here, know people who are here. So just an acknowledgement of everything that happened there. The only other announcement from me is just that boards and commissions are still accepting applications. There are a number of boards and commissions with vacancies with applications that are due by August 1st. Some of the boards and commissions with openings include the Charlottesville Affordable Housing Fund, Charlottesville Redevelopment and Housing Authority, or CRHA Board, Community Development Block Grant and Home Task Force, Housing Advisory Committee, Jefferson Madison Regional Library Board, Social Services Advisory Board, and a number of others. These are boards and commissions that all have a direct impact on city policy decisions around public housing, affordable housing, social services investments. So if anyone is interested in getting involved at that level, you can search Charlottesville boards and commissions applications. There's a city news alert, and that website outlines all the ones that are open, and you can apply online or via paper in person. And again, that deadline is August 1st to apply for these vacancies.
Great. Other announcements?
Yes, July is a application month for the e-bike voucher program. So the best way to find information about that is connect.charlottesville.gov, which is our city's website for programs and engagement. So even if you're not interested in the e-bike voucher program, everyone should check out Connect Cville to find out where the public engagement platform for the city is. So just a good place to know about to check out things. But apply for a voucher in July, and then in August, the winners will be drawn and notified. And it is a tiered system, so if your income is lower, you get a bigger voucher.
Thank you. Jen, do you have any announcements?
No.
Okay. It's now time for Community Matters. We have opportunity for 16 people to speak. 8 people have already pre-registered to speak, and those who don't get a chance now, there will be an opportunity at the end of the meeting for those who didn't get a chance to speak at during this time now. But before we do that, I know a lot of people have been commenting on the Marks project, and I'm going to have the city attorney to read a statement about that, just kind of where we are with it.
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, City Council requests that I speak to the recent request that the City Council rescind or take another vote regarding its decision to approve a certificate of appropriateness.
So, can you speak a little bit loud? I think this.
Boy, I've never heard that before in my life. So, the City Council asks that I speak to recent request that the council rescind or take another vote regarding its decision to approve a certificate of appropriateness for the city's historic review guidelines for the MARC project on 7th Street. Now, I know that many people feel strongly about this project. It's not my intent to dismiss anybody's concerns. Rather, I want to be clear about the legal question. The question is whether council can now rescind its action or vote on that appeal again. The answer is no. This decision was made under very specific historic review process that was established by state law and the city's development code. Once council acted on the appeal, its role in that process was complete. The process does not provide a mechanism for council to reopen the matter or hold another vote. I know that legal explanation isn't going to resolve the broader disagreements about the project. It's simply intended to explain why another vote by council is not legally available.
Okay.
And I would just say, Mr. Mayor, if I could, if state law does not allow a revote on that specific land use question, I would still be interested in us initiating a zoning text amendment process to expand the core neighborhood overlay and allow student housing by special exception permit versus by right, as well as, in addition to that, amending our 0.5-mile radius framework so student housing does not pay lower affordable housing fees than non-student housing. I just say that because there are still policy mechanisms, there are still choices for council to make.
Thank you. So we're going to get into our speakers. The first speaker is Mary Gullen. Gullen? Oh.
Before we hear from our first speaker, if everyone would do me the favor of, if there is an empty seat next to you, please slide over, and let's try to make sure that we provide room for everybody to take a seat. I'm sure we'll probably have additional folks coming in.
Yeah, thank you. And
There's some seats down here in the middle.
yeah,
If anyone would like to come sit.
So Murray's our first speaker, and Claude Convisor will be the next, so you can get ready. So,
Mayor Wade, councilors, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. My name is Mary Galland. It's close.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And I live at 1292 Kenwood Lane. I read last week that the city intends to transition the current riverfront encampments by September, and I wanted to speak tonight in support of that decision. I just wanted to make about 3 points. Okay, 3 points, and just start out with a little background about me. I moved to Charlottesville in 2019, and it is not an understatement to say that my first love was the river. My second was my husband, and because of that, we made sure that we made it so that all our family and friends could actually go down the Rivanna on our wedding weekend, because it was a free public space that we loved. So with that, I just want to make those 3 points. So first, I think that public spaces should be available and safe to the public. And unfortunately, right now, the Rivanna Riverfront, and this should not come as a surprise to anyone, it is no longer that across the whole area in the city. For walkers, joggers, families, I certainly can't take my toddler who wants to grab everything and everything that is on the ground on certain sections of it today. And for others who just want to appreciate the beauty of the river within our city. The present condition is antithetical to the city's goals for the Rivanna Riverfront. And I have friends who unfortunately just no longer want to meet up for walks along it.
Oops. Please.
Okay. I have friends who no longer want to meet up along it to walk. And businesses and owners of businesses who are significantly affected as well. Second point I want to make is that, thank you. Thank you to the city and to all the folks back here as well.
Please, please.
The city has made significant investments, both in funding and organizations and purchasing real estate to help folks who do not have a place to sleep. So thank you for that. These commitments go beyond what many comparable cities do, and even much larger ones. I'd also like to thank those who are working in the organizations for outreach to these communities. Thank you. My third point.
It's, okay, time is up.
They interrupted me, sir.
Yeah, no, you can share it with us. We have a lot of speakers, so thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Please, everyone will have an opportunity to speak, but I'm going to ask you all to please not to interrupt speakers. Okay? Thank you all so much for doing that. We can get through this. Everyone will get a chance if we were respectful for everyone. Thank you. The next speaker after Claude is Jeffrey Lisiandrello. So, please.
Good evening, Mayor Wade, Vice Mayor Oshrin, and City Councilors. My name is Claude David Convisor. Although turning down $7 million specially earmarked for the city is hard to do, in the strongest terms, I encourage you not to open an unnecessary and dangerous transitional housing facility for the homeless, as it will give a bigger operational base than the organized crime mafia already has at the Haven, from which to wreak havoc here in Charlottesville.
It's his point of view.
I am a lawyer who has lived here as a homeless man since June 2024 while pursuing a $500 billion lawsuit against ExxonMobil Corporation on behalf of the biofuel company Plant Oil Powered Pop Diesel I have run since 2008. From living among the homeless population, and because I am standing up to fossil fuel interests, including the organized crime mafia that controls biodiesel, a competing biofuel to our straight vegetable oil, and big tech, who is dependent on cheap fossil fuel to power data centers and whose intelligence service is headquartered here in Charlottesville, S&P Global Intelligence, and for whom John Frazee of Impact works. I share with you insights I have gained. The Haven's operations director, Ocean Aiello, sat down at my breakfast table there one day and asked to have a personal relationship with me, seeking to influence my conduct towards the Haven's organized crime backers. She implied that if I declined, I would suffer retaliation. Then, after the federal judge dismissed my lawsuit and I persisted in refiling it, 4 men assaulted me in 9 separate incidents at the Haven. When I pressed criminal charges and 2 of them were convicted of assaulting and battering me, the Haven expelled me and not them. The same sort of thing happened after the deputy director of Patcham, Haley Shelton, similarly asked to become involved, and I declined. She retaliated, and I had to quit the Patcham shelters in early February 2025 after 3 months in residence. Thanks to the generosity of the churches who provide the homeless shelter, there was never a time during the winter of 2025 that a homeless person could not spend the night at a church shelter or the Salvation Army's warm room, with a total capacity of 60 beds. Adding 80 beds for sure invites the mafia to send even more of its agents here to commit crime against business competitors like me and many others. Any nonprofit you hire to manage such a facility will be under the influence of private intelligence services and their agents with their own criminal agendas. In contrast, churches, the synagogue, and mosque are the moral pillars of our community. From proceeds of my lawsuit, God willing, I commit hundreds of millions of dollars to establishing church permaculture hubs to get our region off fossil fuels quickly and end homelessness. Please exercise forbearance and patience.
Thank you so much. Jeffrey is next, and after that will be Donna Chambers.
My name is Jeff Lissandrello, resident of the Greenbrier neighborhood. Good evening, Mayor Wade and members of council. I support the decision to clear the Free Bridge encampment, but we also need to acknowledge that this action comes nearly a year after Chief Cochise recommended prohibiting camping on public property, and after residents warned precisely where continued action would lead. I myself wrote to Councilor Snook at the time expressing my concern about the tabling of the matter. Council did not act before the crisis. It acted after conditions became impossible to ignore. It's reactive government and not leadership. At previous meetings, residents expressing ordinary concerns about safety, public order, and stewardship of shared spaces were shouted down and treated as morally suspect. We cannot allow intimidation, slogans, and accusations of heartlessness to substitute for reasoned public debate. The loudest activists do not necessarily represent the broader community, and governing requires the courage to make difficult decisions before failure becomes undeniable. The principle we have lost is simple. Compassion must include standards. Public spaces belong to the public. No one has the right to convert a trail, park, sidewalk, or riverbank into private residence, intimidate other users, openly consume drugs, harass residents for money, or create dangerous and unsanitary conditions. Nor do I support building a low-barrier shelter that institutionalizes those same behaviors indoors at public expense.
Sir.
It's been a perfect example of the behavior, right, folks?
Sir.
Who are not willing to tolerate opinions different from their own and believe they have the right to dominate a public space and bully others into submission. They're showing their colors here tonight. A shelter should be a pathway out of homelessness, not a permanent, publicly subsidized alternative lifestyle requiring no sobriety, treatment, employment, or behavioral expectations. Showing their colors. Different people require different interventions. Someone displaced by rent or temporary misfortune may need short-term housing assistance. Someone suffering from addiction needs treatment and accountability. Someone whose severe mental illness makes safe, independent living impossible may need institutionalization or secure residential care. We have treated institutionalization as an unthinkable violation of personal freedom, but leaving someone psychotic, addicted, exploited, or dying on the street is not humane. Refusing to make a difficult decision does not preserve that person's dignity. It abandons that person while transferring the consequences to families, businesses, emergency rooms, and surrounding communities. Charlottesville's responsibility is not to make chronic homelessness easier or more comfortable. It is to create a clear path away from it and to insist that those capable of following that path.
Thank you, thank you. Don is next, and then it's Jennifer Grant. Please, everyone, you may not agree, but we want everyone to be heard, okay? Thank you all so much. Jeffrey, where's Jeffrey too? So the next speaker is Donna, and then Jennifer Grant is.
Hello, how's it going?
Good.
I am one of the ones from the encampment at Freebridge, and I moved to Charlottesville in 2016, and from there I had a job. I was working. I was staying in Garrett Square. I wound up moving out of there, and I've been through all the programs that y'all have for people that's homeless, through the Haven, through the Salvation Army, even trying Region 10 for help. And I've been in these low-income housings y'all have. They're all trash. Y'all do nothing with them. Every other night, there's gun shootings, there's bullet holes coming through your door. Nobody wants to live in those places. But y'all sit here and blame the homeless people for being homeless. Y'all have to fix y'all problem if you want us to fix our problem. Y'all say these people got mental health, mental problems, drug addictions. What place do y'all have for these people to go to get the help they need? None. There's none at all. If y'all don't stand up against these people and fix y'all problems, this is going to continue to go on. You say you don't want homelessness, but you're not fixing the problem that's causing homelessness. Let's go, team! So yeah, I've definitely been from Hardy Drive to Garrett Square to 6th Street, and living over there, it's unbearable. Gunshots every night. You come down there and ask the homeless, But when these people are shooting in these apartments with these fully automatic guns and stuff, nothing is done. Those should be the places y'all should be trying to fix so people could get housing and go to these places and live. I have a son that's 8 years old now, and when he was 5, I tried to get him into Region 10 because he has autism, and they kept denying me. When me and his mom was on the street and she was pregnant, I had a job working at Miller's that a lot of y'all know. I went to the Haven, asked for help. Denied. I wasn't a felon. I hadn't been in jail long enough. All these programs that y'all have for people, they deny you, send you out the door, and do nothing. And then you wonder why the homeless is. And then you wonder why the encampment out there has got so big. Y'all keep sending the news crew down there, and they're reporting what they want. Y'all sending invites for people to come. Y'all wonder why all these people out of town are there. Y'all open the door for it. We're going coming down there recording, news crew recording. Y'all brought all these people here, and now y'all trying to blame the people there for the problem. We did not cause the problem. Y'all caused the problem. So if you want the problem fixed, y'all gonna have to fix it.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm sorry, what was your name?
Donez Chambers.
Okay, I'm sorry, I mispronounced your name.
It's
Thank you.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, but yeah, we're not causing no problem. People come down there all the time, walk, kids and all. And we don't bother nobody, they don't bother us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jennifer Grant is next, and then Rosia Parker. Jennifer Grant, okay.
Good evening. I'm Jennifer
Good
Green.
evening.
I'm also on the Freebridge side at the encampment. I would just like to say that not all of us are an issue down there, not all of us are a problem. The problem that I'm having is when you want to go open Holiday Drive and you say pets are welcome, what are you going to do with people that are allergic to pets? What are you going to do with people that have problems with other people if you put them all in the same room? You're going to have nothing but more problems. Constantly, y'all are sending more people down there that are coming from the jail or other places. We just got 2 new people down there yesterday. We said, where'd you come from? They said ACRJ. Y'all are constantly sending more and more and more people down there, then you're causing a bigger problem. Not all of us down there are bad. Not all of us down there don't want services or useful. We're not down there because we choose to be down there. We're down there because we have to be down there. Not everybody has a support system. Not everybody has a backup plan. Me, myself, do not have any other support systems. My parents are deceased. I am a convicted felon also, but I have also changed my whole life around. People can change, and a lot of people do want the services, but what you're going to have to regulate is who is really homeless down there, who really wants to help. Not everybody down there is homeless, and I will be the first one to say that. A lot of people use it as a scene facade to be down there. They don't clean up their mess. I'm one to speak, but we do have a lot of people that come down there and run. We do have a lot of children that come down there. We're very friendly. We do speak to everybody. We have had some politeness. We have had a lot of negativity since the news has been down there. A lot. We have gotten bashed. We've gotten threatened. We've gotten cars to honk the horns. They didn't start until the news crew came down there and only posted what they want to post. People keep saying, oh, they get this, they get this, they get. Really, we don't get it. We have to advocate for ourselves and get what we want. If y'all open up doors for Region 10 to accept new people instead of being pushed away, people that have mental health issues that can get medication, then things would probably be a lot better. Give us outreach teams, give us support systems, give us somebody that we can navigate ourselves to go to instead of keep getting turned around. The Haven helps who they want to help. They do not help everybody. Region 10 constantly turns people away that have mental health issues. We cannot help that we have mental health issues. A lot of people cannot get their meds because they don't know which way to go to get their medication. A lot of people down there need the help. It's just, where do we start? Y'all can't give us the proper education and proper steps to take to where we need to access the help. We need more people to show us the direction to go to instead of getting shrugged and our backs turned to. We also have kids. We understand where people are coming from. We respect that. But not everybody down there is disrespectful, harmful, or neglectful. We're tired of getting bashed. We're tired of getting harassed. We're tired of being posted on internet, social media. It's got to stop. And if it doesn't stop now, then it's gonna get out of hand. It's gonna get really hectic and chaotic.
Yes. Thank you. Rosia? Rosia Parker.
Good evening. This is Rosia Parker. 1960 started the plan of dismantling Black Charlottesville. The city held a referendum, approved the redevelopment plan of demolishing Vinegar Hill in 1965. A predominantly black neighborhood, as you are still doing the same in 2026, dismantling and displacing core black neighborhoods by allowing developers to come in and create luxury student housing. Luxury student housing for non-residents overriding these neighborhoods in which black and brown families that are low income and unhoused individuals to live in. Charlottesville is ranked number 3 in the U.S. luxury living. Standard minimum wage is $12.77. Experience and occupations play a big role. Certain jobs can ranges from $15 to $19 an hour, entry-level and hourly jobs. You need $24.35 per hour as a single individual, making $50,650 annually to cover housing, transportation, and food. $55,000 and a roommate to live comfortably. $70,000 to $80,000 must be earned to be able to enjoy downtown residents and amenities. It starts off at $16,000 to $18,000 for one bedroom to own in Charlottesville, or to rent in Charlottesville. It's very expensive. $125,000 to $135,000 to own condos, $2,500 to $350,000 for townhomes, $350,000 for older ranch-style homes, $535,000 plus for newer homes. There is nothing that benefits the community. The development code has destroyed Charlottesville by allowing these student houses to come up within a half a mile of UVA, asking them to pay in CAHF payment in lieu, one lump sum, without community engagement or community benefit agreements. People's property taxes go up and can't afford their homes anymore. 2023 was not a good year for anyone. People who was poor, not wealthy, common people wasn't a factor. Unhoused moved from from Market Street Park to the streets. 3 years later, here we are again in the same boat. Where else will they go? Plans have been being discussed for years. Using the money to renovate the jail should have been used for the unhoused. Understanding that not living it was a big, beautiful bill. So now it takes us $8,500 to $20,000 to provide for the unhoused people. We understand that taxpayers' money is built in this, but do what the taxpayers are asking for. We're asking for you to house them. Put them in a place that they won't have to be dehumanized.
Please, I can't.
Where they won't have to be dehumanized and have respect. That they need to be in a home, and they won't have to worry about being out here in these streets and don't have to worry about it.
Thank you. The next speaker is Anna Malinowski. Please. The next speaker is Anna Malinowski. Okay. And then Frank Betcher.
I'm going to cede my time to Boston, right?
My name is Christopher Kenneth Scott Hall. I have been homeless and displaced for a number of years. I spoke last time at a number of these meetings. I recently have been drifting for 2 months. I went up to Boston to ask for help from a nonprofit that's expanding in other commonwealths. They told me they needed to hear this from the city. It's a drop-in center that has work programs, and they've expanded into Pennsylvania. They're known as St. Francis House. And they are expanding in other states and commonwealths in this country. And they would help, but I can't do it. They have to hear the call from the city. They need you to reach out. I'm a lone voice. Mm-hmm. I argued for common sense. I thought there was enough of it on both sides. And I've seen this before in my home state. Massive displacement, massive poverty, massive crime, massive cost increase. I'm a neurodivergent of the lost generation of the 90s, the problem children. We were misdiagnosed. I'm autistic, and I was lost through the cracks of the system. My caregiver died a year ago. I'm a drifter, and I had support, and I have that no longer. I speak up because I always had someone to speak up for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then,
Frank, okay,
Ooh, I don't get that 145 back, don't I?
go ahead. You have a minute and a half. All right.
Okay, so I had a lot to say, but what I will say is that the September 1st deadline is totally arbitrary. There's absolutely no reason I can see to kick people out by then, because if it's a problem about climate change is year-round, right? There's ice storms, there's flooding, there's hurricanes. So I think that that has been instated because City Council has been influenced too much about what they're seeing on Reddit. And Reddit likes to show up when they remember that the city exists. But you don't need to listen to Reddit. You can listen to the hundreds of people in here who want to see actual meaningful change in this city. You have a $5 million surplus this year. I have no clue why that money is not being put to immediately address this issue. And the last thing I want to say is that this fascist administration is coming specifically for homeless people and people with substance use disorder. Stephen Miller made a speech 4 days ago where he talked about those people being the bane of his existence. And it makes me think of the quote, "First they came for the socialists and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the immigrants, those with substance issues, and the unhoused, and I did not speak out because I was not any of those things. Then they came for me and there was no one left to speak for me."
Frank Belcher. Okay, the next speaker is Frank.
Thank you, Council. My name is Frank Bechter. Charlottesville's rich and diverse culture and form will be celebrated, and the entire community will feel welcomed, valued, and respected. The city will protect, celebrate, and enhance the people and places that have added to the uniqueness and cultural diversity of the community. That's the city's comprehensive plan, page 21. But on June 24th at the Jefferson School, descendants of Vinegar Hill and the neighborhoods of Fifeville, West Haven, and elsewhere didn't feel anyone had been valuing them or respecting them. They didn't feel protected or celebrated. Instead of actively and meaningfully seeking community input, I quote again from page 21, such community input has been zoned entirely away by City Council. On page 27, the built form of the city will allow additional housing types at a scale that is familiar to the city's neighborhoods. I repeat, at a scale that is familiar to the city's neighborhoods. Neighborhoods and communities that have experienced previous displacement and those at risk of related future impacts will be supported and protected. But none of that could matter in early May, a month before the Jefferson School meeting, because you needed to overturn your Board of Architectural Review, and you had to find a way. Mr. Snook, one could see you laboring to find a way. It's as if you enlisted yourself as the developer's attorney. You may as well have been reading directly from their playbook. Here's the thesis that won. Value the bricks and windows and doors of those two tiny workers' cottage, which City Council and the city haven't given a fig about in 30 years, as they've sat there boarded up, above all else. Value the structure of those cottages above all else. Don't concern yourself with the historical value as workers' cottages, their cultural value as workers' cottages in a working class neighborhood. Don't concern yourself with the promises and assurances of the comprehensive plan. And don't even think about the neighborhood and its lower income households that will be displaced. 2, believe that these bricks are an imminent risk of collapse, which is poppycock, and was never mentioned in the developer's applications. 3, believe it will take huge forbidding sums of money to rehabilitate them. And 4, that only this billion-dollar private equity-funded developer can possibly save them, and only by building a gargantuan luxury housing complex that is clearly incompatible with them, as all your experts said. So precisely what is incompatible must be embraced. I think it's pretty clear you all told us that if this project doesn't go through, it's only a matter of time before those buildings fall apart. But Council, you were lied to, and I say this especially for the city attorney to hear. A lie is when you say something with the deliberate intention of deceiving for your own gain. That's what the attorneys did. Landmark proposes to rehabilitate these structures at an estimated cost of about $2 million. How do I know that's a lie? Because the developer himself told me when we walked the neighborhood in early June. That includes the price of purchase, he said.
Thank you, Frank. You can share your other comments. Okay, so We now have the opportunity for 8 people to speak that did not register. Reverend Long?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening to the mayor, vice mayor, members of council, and our fellow Charlottesville neighborhood. My name is Reverend Dr. Arthur S. Long, Jr., pastor of the historic First Baptist Church. I come tonight not simply to oppose the development, but I come because I believe we are called to defend something far more valuable than bricks, concrete, profit margins. We're called to defend public trust. There's an old saying that sunlight is the best disinfectant. Democracy can't survive in the shadows. Decisions that reshape neighborhoods should never be made in ways that leave people most affected feeling unheard, uninformed, or overlooked. The issue before us is larger than one building. It is about whether development happens with the community or to the community. Charlottesville has lived through enough history to know what happens when powerful interests decide what is best for neighborhoods without first listening to the people who are called those neighborhoods home. We know that urban renewal once promised progress while displacing black families and destroying thriving neighborhoods. We know that development without justice too often becomes displacement disguised as opportunity. Martin Luther King Jr. said it best. He reminds us that true peace is not merely the absence of tension, but is the presence of justice. Justice demands participation. Justice demands transparency. Justice demands that residents have meaningful seats at the table before decisions are made, not after contracts have been signed and bulldozers have been scheduled. It is best reminded that justice is what love looks like in public. If we truly love Charlottesville, then our public policy ought to reflect that love. That means asking difficult questions. Who benefits? Who bears the burden? Who had a voice? Who was left out the room? Those questions matter because zoning is not merely about land. Zoning is about values. It determines who belongs, who profits, and what kind of city we leave for future generations. If this project is being approved as luxury student housing, then it's supposed to and should remain exactly that. And I respectfully urge City Council to examine whether stronger zoning practices and protections are necessary so that if the property is ever sold, it is approved, and what has been approved for simply can't be transformed or transferred into something else entirely different or returning to the people for public review. Developers should not receive a permanent blank check. Community approval should not expire the moment construction begins. And if a proposal gains approval because it promises luxury student housing, then that commitment should remain attached to the property itself, not merely to the company currently developing it. Otherwise, today's promises becomes tomorrow loopholes. I urge you to look at the zoning plan and take consideration for your actions.
Thank you.
My name is Laura Goldblatt, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I'd like to address the effect of luxury student housing developments upon surrounding neighborhoods. The scholarly literature on student housing is relatively sparse, but I recently reviewed 13 scholarly articles examining the effects of student housing on students in local communities. You have that annotated bibliography. The overwhelming consensus is that the introduction of student housing into residential neighborhoods drives up prices in a process the authors refers to as studentification. I could not find a single article that did not reach this conclusion. You can see all those sources. Relatedly, several of the articles either measure displacement following the introduction of private market student housing developments or project its effects. These articles consistently find that student housing development causes displacement, or their models predict that they will cause displacement of current residents as costs rise. I also reviewed several articles on luxury housing development in particular, especially the essay cited in an Atlantic article that I know has been making the rounds recently. The article in question looked at a luxury housing development in Honolulu and found that this building did increase upward mobility for residents, and this is the key point, at 100% AMI and above. The study authors said they found no upward mobility for residents in low-income neighborhoods, and the study authors note that their study is small and caution that it should not be generalized. So in addition, an excellent study by Georgetown Law's Center for Poverty and Inequality of 6 urban areas found that luxury housing increased displacement and gentrification in every single city they examined. In fact, they found that luxury housing decreased the housing supply for those making 50% or lower AMI. Their findings contest the narrative of trickle-down housing in that they comprehensively show that increased housing supply does not trickle down to extremely low-income groups. Instead, those groups need housing specifically developed for them to mitigate displacement. Then I just want to say, for student housing, UVA has the ability to admit a larger class anytime it wants to increase tuition revenues, which it always does. This means that while some students currently living in 10th and Page, for instance, might move into new luxury units, they very likely will be replaced by students who will need to find housing on the private market. And then there's the question of policing. Every source I consulted found that luxury assets increase policing on the surrounding community, especially for nonviolent crimes such as playing loud music, loitering, and public intoxication. Indeed, several studies note that real estate development itself seems to drive policing. Of course, we should note that these activities, loud music, loitering, and public intoxication, are ones that college students regularly engage in, but only a small demographic is criminalized for them. My last question is, when this happens to 10th and Page, Fifeville, Rose Hill, and West Haven, because of the projects that have been approved by this body, who will be held responsible? And why have you not been listening to the brave residents who have been standing up to speak back and use their lived experience as evidence?
Anyone in the Senate like to speak?
My name is Brandon Tyson. I'm representing a member of First Baptist Church, and I'm hoping that Landmark Properties is listening to this, because what I want to say today is, basically, I know y'all are represented out of Athens, Georgia, and that personally, I know that y'all are a guest in the city of Charlottesville. When I'm a guest in somebody's house, I don't do something like, I don't just throw my stuff around. I ask before coming in. I know y'all asked the somewhat mayor of this city to use the certificate of appropriateness, which I find to be BS, but in this situation. But even with that, what y'all should have did was, at the very least, have the common decency to ask Fifeville when you knew about this project. At the very least, got some people together and said, look, we have an idea of something going down with the project. Like, get some members and say, you know, this is what's going down, what's your input?
Yes, sir.
There's a great chance you're probably still getting to know, but at least they would have known about it. And then, plain and simple, my thing is this, and I hope they're still listening. If the roles were reversed and I'm the millionaire, and knowing that in Athens, Georgia, if I build the highest, biggest, building around Athens, Georgia, their biggest, botanical garden, or Georgia, the Georgia field, something that they love, how would they feel? How would their fans feel if I blocked whatever they love? They'd be pissed. They'd be really pissed. And they'd be looking to be upset, writing these kind of things that they'd be upset about. So no, personally, I'm not down for this project. Like, I'm all for, having student housing and all that, but it's gotta fit. Mm-hmm. Talk to Fifeville and get their input. Personally, there was ways that you could have worked out a deal and said, Fifeville, we have this project, can you help us with, building laundromats, daycares? Put the money in which, we're building something for a long-term gain.
Yes, sir.
And they're not doing that.
Yes, sir.
And unfortunately, that also falls on y'all. Because, again, you're supposed to be working with us, and you're not doing that. So,
thank you.
I'm sorry.
Anyone over here like to speak?
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters of all colors,
Good
shapes, and
afternoon.
sizes. How y'all doing this morning, this evening? I started Tent City. It was me. And I protested. And now I want to start a whole nother thing. I think there's some property available. Zero Garland. You even got some property down in Pantops, about 50 acres. I want to say it was an insurance company or something, State Farm, right on the river. Beautiful property too. We are right in a point where I've warned you about. 3 years ago, when we set up that Tent City, we are right here. And I don't know how to get it through. I talk and talk. I just came from feeding the homeless people. I still smell like barbecue chicken. My hands are sweaty. I'm leaving prints on here. I work hard and I don't have nothing myself. You understand what I'm saying? Not only do I work hard, but I know so much. I know so many solutions. I really don't even want to be here. I was going to get on the bus, but then a homeless person said, Roscoe, please go talk to them. You're the only one out here really working. Mind you, you think look at all these beautiful women. Look at all these handsome brothers. You think I want to be in here sweaty talking? No, but I do want results. I have results. And I don't want nobody to call me from out of my busy moment to tell me to come up with something new and then tell me that I can't get a grant because I haven't been in business long enough. You understand how that feels? To not only take that time out of your life, but then to be so disappointed. What about that rich homeless man who just fell in love with the wrong woman? What about the woman, the cat lady, who lost her mind, lost her ranch, and then died in jail? What about the people that freeze to death? I wake up to these people, man. I find these bodies. This is my life. I'm not going. These are beautiful people. But most of them not sleeping on no concrete.
Say that.
Yeah. I talk to the homeless people. It's people with skills. They can build their own tiny community.
Thank you, Roscoe. Yeah. Don.
Good evening, Don Gather, city resident and proud member of First Baptist Church. I will be brief this evening because I didn't prepare anything, and also because some of you all have shown an innate inability to listen to the citizens anyway. So what I will say is this. At the June 24th meeting, the developers and the lawyers specifically said on numerous occasions that they would rent these properties to anyone who could afford them. They made that statement. That in and of itself should remove the cover of luxury student housing. They owe us 10% of those units that they're putting in, based on what they said at that meeting. And that's not a way of selling our soul to the devil that be. That's a way of inflicting some pain and some hurt on them, just as they're doing to the Fifeville neighborhood. Yeah. So I encourage and I urge you all to at least demand 70 units, 70 beds of this property. That's the very least that they could do. But they should do much more. You all should demand much more. The citizens are requesting you to demand much more.
People to pay you.
The public also deserves to know what specifically the plans are for the $7 million that the federal government has funneled down to the city to issue and attack the issues of homelessness. We deserve to know what specifically you all have planned and earmarked for those funds. But at the very least, again, and I implore you every time I come here, listen to the people that elected you. Listen to the people that put you in office. Listen to the people that are now paying for the raises that you all just so generously got. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone over here like to speak? No.
Hello, I'm Drew. I'm a Charlottesville resident, healthcare worker, and harm reduction volunteer who recreates at Dardentoe Park twice a week. I'm here to oppose the City Council's decision to displace the residents of the Freebridge encampment. Our neighbors are not being provided with basic services for their dignity or safety and are being punished for the safety emergencies that this has caused. Our neighbors want to clean up after themselves. They do not want to use the restroom in the park. They do not want to live in cramped conditions. This is not their fault, but a failing within our city's leadership. You provided no interim measures that can improve public safety, environmental impact, or our neighbors' dignity. Water, porta potties, ice, sharps containers, and trash cans could make a world of difference for our safety as well as theirs. This is abrupt and unilateral. The City of Charlottesville has long prioritized development for the benefit of transient students over the sustainability of our city's aging infrastructure, housing affordability, and long-term residents' well-being. This is a natural consequence of your policy decisions. It's natural for recreators to be uncomfortable with an encampment on public lands. They are uncomfortable with watching their fellow man be deprived of dignity. The solution is not to make our most vulnerable neighbors go away, as this only puts their suffering out of sight. The solution is to provide them with tools to alleviate this suffering. The transition you are proposing is abrupt, poorly planned, and done without the community's input or consent. The congregate housing you have proposed cannot accommodate half of the residents of Freebridge, let alone the other displaced people in the city. These also have barriers that separate families, require sobriety, and take people's belongings. The services you claim will provide are too little and too late. Transitions like this take time and collaboration. The unhoused are my friends and my neighbors. I will not allow you to carry out acts of extreme cruelty in my name as a recreator and Charlottesville resident. As a community, we are only as good as how we treat our most vulnerable. What you are doing will kill our neighbors. I have come here to tell you that I love my neighbors and I will not allow you to do this to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Diana, did you want to speak? Ms. Bryant? Ms. Bryant? Okay. Jessica, you're next, okay?
Can I speak after?
Say yes. Yeah. We have to see, I don't know what the count is.
I signed up, but it didn't go through, so did I.
Okay. Well, we'll have opportunity at the end, so we're almost done. Ms. Bryant?
Good evening, Council. I have a couple of things I want to say, but I want to start by saying anyone who's here to stand in solidarity with Black residents who have been speaking out about the unhinged development, please stand. I always do this because...
Okay. Please, okay. We can't hear a comment.
I always ask this because at the beginning we heard a comment that there are these activists, and that little sentence is used so often. It's just activists who are speaking out. It's just activists who care about this. The general population just wants to see good development. We just need more housing. A lot of them subscribe to some of the counselors who believe that trickle-down housing is the way to go. In fact, I actually spoke to one of our counselors at that June 24th meeting, and she's convinced that if we have more housing, more luxury student housing, more housing of all types, that students will have more places to go. But the point that I made to her was that actually, the more we allow developers to come in and have free reign over our city, we signal to the university that they can continue to enroll more people. They continue to accept large donations that require more capacity, thus more units that are luxury and fits the demographics of the students that they want to enroll. And so, it's very disheartening to sit in a room of 140 plus people, again, to the point about there's a small group of activists who feel this way. There's been meeting after meeting since that meeting and even before. The Neighborhood Association of 10th and Page, myself included, has sat at the table with developers time after time and expressed what we need to see. We've had discussions about CBAs. We've had discussions about what these people can offer to the neighborhood. But the unfortunate part about all of this is that by right, they have so much ability, so much capacity to do whatever they want to do simply because council did not do a good job with the zoning code. And now, instead of us being proactive, we're being reactive. How can we be reactive to developers who can come through, make their proposals, and you guys will overturn the BAR's decision just so freely, and not all of you will have the courage to even stand up to your community and face them eye to eye and tell them why you did it. So, again, I'm speaking, I probably should have said this earlier, in my personal capacity, because I'm sure someone will want to slap me on the wrist for this. But let me just say this, that the community is speaking. Again, I'll ask you all to stand if you stand in solidarity with Black residents who are asking for responsible development.
Thank you.
I think that's all you need to see. Thank you.
Thank you. Jessica, you will be our last speaker for right now.
My name is Jessica Jackson. Mayor Wade, Vice Mayor Ostrin, and Councilor Snook, you justified your decision to allow the building of student housing by saying Charlottesville needs more housing. I believe that is not correct. What Charlottesville needs is more affordable housing. According to a news report on January 15, Charlottesville has the least affordable housing in Virginia. 33.7% of Charlottesville residents rent. That means 1/3 of the people in Charlottesville rent. And what is even more disheartening and demands more attention is about 46.9% of those renters are cost burdened. That means they cannot afford the rent and take care of their families. And we have had a homeless population ranging from 320 to 700 people. So 33% of people in Charlottesville rent. Almost 50% of those people cannot afford the rent. And there are anywhere from 320 through 700 people who have no place to live. You knew that, or you should have known, but still decided what Charlottesville needs is luxury apartments for students who are just guests in our town. You don't even need those statistics that I gave you to understand that the mark was a bad decision. All you had to do was go out and talk to the community members.
That's all.
I substitute for Charlottesville schools. I saw a 4th grader in the lunchroom not eating her lunch. She had a wonderful lunch in a carry-out tray. So I asked her if she was hungry. She said no. However, her friend sitting next to her said she gets that item every day and takes it home to her mother. When parents can't buy food for their children and students don't eat lunch so that they can help feed their families, then I really can't understand how luxury apartments for transitional college students takes care of our community. I believe you have the power to do something. And I think you should really, really work hard and decide what you can do about those luxury apartments. I know the lawyer said that it cannot be reversed. But all lawyers and politicians know that you can do that.
Thank you. That was the last speaker. Okay. So that was the last speaker at this time. We will, at this time, transition to the consent agenda, but before we do that, we're going to get a comprehensive update on our efforts with the encampment and unhouse Mr. Roland, can you give that statement now? Is that, or Sam, are you doing it?
Good evening, Mayor, councilors, and members of the public. I stand to just give a few updates of what has been done and what will be done in terms of the recent past and the near future. As you know, the city has recently publicly announced its intention to transition people out of the encampments at Free Bridge and Zero East High.
Can you say you can speak louder? Okay. Yeah.
Raymond, it's okay if you give us a little bit more volume, please? Thank you. Is that better?
Yes.
Awesome. I think it's important to note that we continue to build relationships and partnerships to achieve the transition at task. I think it's also important to note that the organized updates that I have is basically in two categories: operationally and coordination, logistical coordination. So first, I'd like to update that the Department of Human Services, the Director, Misty Graves, is a staff liaison to the Public Spaces Work Group and has attended meetings that heavily focused on the encampments. She's attended meetings on June 10th, July 8th, and the next meeting will be on July 22nd. This group includes members who are currently staying in the encampment, service providers, the Rivanna Trails Foundation, and the Rivanna Conservation Alliance. On Friday, the 17th, city staff from the Department of Human Services visited both encampments to provide the occupants notifications of the upcoming closure as well as the upcoming needs assessment happening over the next few weeks. Director Graves and Council Flesher has also been providing coordination support for the assessment and pit count, point-in-time count team, who will facilitate both the needs assessment and the count for people staying in the encampment and beyond. Pacham staff and clinical staff from UVA Medical Center leading this effort. The intent is to learn about each individual's current needs and begin gathering information helpful to prioritize and organize transition plans. Director Graves' staff has also been assigned to the team as assessors and scribes. This will take place beginning today throughout likely July 31st. After the assessment period, the data will then be used to try to begin aligning needs with available resources and connection to services. We also have an internal city camp transition team, which is made up of city departments to help provide consultation, planning, and resource allocation to support this encampment transition effort, which meets on a weekly basis. Our next meeting will be Wednesday. The city has also taken the lead in researching and identifying viable, available options to open the Holiday Drive location as an emergency shelter. This includes locating a viable source to manage an emergency shelter, which includes producing an operational plan that would address and inform how that work will be done. We will continue to collaborate with providers and donor-funded opportunities as we consider all available options. In terms of cleanup, our goal is and will continue to be restoring the space to its original intended use. As a result, we are not waiting to September 1st to begin. Parks and Rec staff will continue to monitor and support hand washing stations, portable toilets, and dumpsters available at Zero East High, as well as making daily drives through the Free Bridge side to pick up bagged trash and distribute trash bags to the encampment occupants. We anticipate a larger professional cleanup to be organized to clean up larger items and debris like abandoned and broken tents and other discarded items. This effort is designed to continue at certain intervals through the transition period between now and September 1st, as well as after September 1st, where a more comprehensive cleanup will occur. In terms of safety and security, CPD and CFD has partnered to expand safety patrols to serve the riverfront. which began this past Friday. Dedicated staff from both CFD and CPD will be specifically assigned to the riverfront to ensure high level of safety is achieved. Without going into too many operational details, the presence of our public safety team members is to ensure that the safety of the encampment occupants are intact, as well as people visiting the area where the encampments are located. CPD and CFD will maintain presence through physical and technological means deemed most effective by Chief Kachis and Chief Thomas. Staff will seek to mitigate opportunities of illegal behavior, illegal actions, as well as life safety issues such as open fires and use of equipment that further endanger life and property. Finally, I'll wrap up this update with our continued intent to convey and communicate updates to the community by keeping everyone informed regarding the encampment situation and holiday drive updates. The mayor recently asked about an informational brochure that answers a few basic frequently asked questions. That brochure has been developed, which I mistakenly left at my space over here. But that brochure has been developed and is available to our community. It also includes a QR code that links MyCville for additional information and resources. And that concludes my update.
Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, we'll have opportunity for additional public comments at the end of the meeting. The agenda's not too big, but if you'd like to stick around, you can. We have some great items on the agenda.
Are these for?
For you. There's 5 for each of you, just as a sample. And we'll get more. We're going to get more.
Madam Clerk?
To use in conversation.
Consent agenda. Number 2.
Just speak loud.
Minutes, March 16th, April 6th, April 20th, regular meetings, July 8th, work session. Number 3, a resolution.
Please leave quietly if you can. Thank you.
Number 3, resolution allocating $575,000 in housing operations and support, FY27 grant funding, second reading. 4, resolution for approval of addendum to lease with the Botanical Garden of the Piedmont, second reading. 5, a resolution appropriating funds for the Virginia Department of Education Special Nutrition Program Summer Food Service Program, $40,000, one of 2 readings. 6, a resolution considering a special exception permit for 1138 Rose Hill Drive. 7, an ordinance amending and reenacting Chapter 2, Article 15 of the Code of the City of Charlottesville, the Charlottesville Human Rights Ordinance, one of 2 readings. Number 8, by motion, adoption of a new ordinance correcting 2 scrivener's errors in the original ordinance, vacating and quitclaiming Clark Court to the Jefferson Scholars Foundation. 9, resolution allocating Charlottesville Albemarle Housing Fund Grant Program funding for Charlottesville Redevelopment and Housing Authority, South First Street, Phase 2, in the amount of $425,000, one of 2 readings.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Sorry. And before we vote, we just quickly highlight just one of the items with the HOPS grants. There's over $250,000 of investment specifically for existing programs that we support related to homelessness in Charlottesville. That's a very small piece of all the investments we make. I just highlight that because those are some of the things that are already ongoing that the community, or that the city already supports if anyone is interested in investigating some of what those things are.
Thank you. Yeah. If there's no other comment, we can vote. Is everyone prepared to vote electronically? Lloyd, you can let us know your vote, and Kina will register it.
He's muted.
Did he say yes?
He's muted.
Did you say yes, Lloyd?
Votes yes.
Okay. The motion for the consent agenda passes 5-0. The next item on the agenda is the city manager's report.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, members of the public. The report that you received just a minute ago from Assistant City Manager Roman was a part of the report. I just want to thank him for making sure that we gave details in regards to the work that's going on. I'll just add that this is a difficult and challenging issue. It is one that faces many communities around the country. No one has figured it out. We're having to come up with our version for what applies here in Charlottesville. Our commitment is that we will continue to dig into what are the issues and try to work our best around making sure that compassion is a part of the consideration as we work to make sure that we're looking out for everyone in this community, regardless of their housing status. In addition to that, I just want to share, reinforce the notion for the public that there has been a drought declaration declared for this region that is intended to increase public awareness for conservation. It is all of our responsibility to make sure that we think about drinking water, which is essential. That water is declining in stream and reservoir water levels. It is not a point in time for us to be extremely alarmed. However, if the continued absence of rain, significant rain in this area continues and high temps, then we are going to have to do even more. So I'm asking that everyone really consider looking for ways to voluntarily conserve through measures that you identify for yourself, including watering trees, shrubs, grass, and lawn at night, and making sure that the basic things that we normally do, where we tend to leave the water running, like my wife does, to turn that off and make sure that we deal with those situations more appropriately. So just adding that as an additional piece. That is all that I have for the report, as we have a robust meeting agenda since we were not able to have a meeting earlier this month.
Thank you. The next, the first action item is a public hearing resolution to authorize the issuance of and sale of general obligation public improvement bonds with the city of Charlottesville in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $29 million to finance the sale and general obligation bonds for the city of Charlottesville, Virginia, in aggregate principal not to exceed $25 million, providing for the form, details of the payments such as bond and providing for the refunding of certain outstanding general obligation bonds of the city. And this is the first reading. Chrissy Hamill will give background on this.
Good evening, Council. Chrissy Hamill, Budget Director. As you noted, this is a resolution before you requesting permission or authorization to issue an amount of bonds not to exceed $29 million. In addition, we are asking for the approval to issue, should the market be in our favor, to issue no more than $25 million worth of refunding bonds. As you know, part of our ongoing CIP plan includes funding those projects with cash and bonds. So the projects that are slated to be funded with these bonds were projects that were previously approved in a 5-year plan. In the memo, we detail for you the breakdown of how that works. Roughly $17.6 million of this bond issue will be for things in the general CIP, which includes transportation and access, public facilities, schools, public safety, parks and recreation, and as well as affordable housing. In addition, we'll be issuing about $9 million for our utility funds, water, wastewater, and stormwater. We did meet with Moody's and S&P last week to review our bond rating. We expect to get that rating in the next 2 weeks or so. We'll be reporting back to council. And these bonds will be sold by a competitive bond sale on or about August 18th. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Before we open up the public hearing, I'll ask council if they have any questions or clarifications. Jen, I'll start with you.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lloyd?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Natalie?
Just a procedural question for benefit of everyone listening. How often do we do a bond issue like this?
We are approximately on an every year schedule, or not approximately, we are on an every year schedule. We usually issue in the spring to early summer. This year we're issuing a little bit later in August.
And are they usually about this much?
Yes, most of the time when we issue bonds, we're issuing for projects that are already shovel-ready. And so it depends on what the projects are that are in the queue, but generally for the last few years, this is about a typical amount.
Okay, thank you so much.
Michael?
Just to be able to provide, more concrete information to the public, we're issuing bonds, these are high level. Would you be able to speak to, in any specificity, some of the projects specifically around affordable housing or transportation and access that these bonds relate to? Just to help give the community a sense of what we're actually doing on the ground.
Yes, so I believe the affordable housing bonds relate to South First Street. Some of the transportation and access projects relate to some sidewalk new replacements. Some of the more for schools, there are some projects that are some upfits for some of the priority projects that were identified by the school board. And caught me off guard a little bit, so I'm trying to pull this off from memory. Those are the big ones that I can think of at the moment.
And no, I apologize, but I think that's helpful to see things like their resident-led redevelopment and of new units at South First Street, updating existing units there, the sidewalk projects, updating things in our schools. These are just tangible things that will impact people's lives.
Correct.
If there are no other questions, I will now open up the public hearing referring to this action item. Will anyone from the audience like to speak on this general obligation bond issue? Anyone like to speak on this?
I have just a very simple question.
No, please come up, sir.
My name is James Rogers. Ma'am, what is the city's current bond rating from each of the major agencies?
AAA.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Other questions or comments? If there's no other, I will close the public hearing and bring this back to council. If there's no other question, this is a first reading. If there, just one reading. Just one reading, I'm sorry. So with that being said, if there's support for this, is there a motion to approve?
I move approval.
Second, okay. Can we initiate the vote? Lloyd, what do you say?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay, the motion passes 5-0. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is a public hearing and ordinance for 801 West Street. This is zoning text amendment. There's a designation of an individually protected property. It's the first reading. Kate Richardson will introduce. Kate.
I told her to go home.
Yeah.
She lives over in the valley. I said, I live down the street. I'll take care of this one. Hopefully this will be a good story tonight. Something that I've really been excited to share with you. But what's before you tonight, and Mr. Hunt is here, is a request that we received late last year from the property owner, 801 West Street in the 10th and Page neighborhood. We were contacted about establishing or designating the property as an individually protected property. And those are, Remy, you're out there, you can flick. So this is, and I had to throw that picture in. I hadn't used it, that I said I got to put it in, that's Mr. Hunt with his aunt standing in front of the house. But so on behalf of Mr. Hunt, I'm here as staff requesting you all approve a zoning map amendment and a zoning text amendment, which would designate 801 West Street as an individually protected property. And you can see its location there. It's just a block off of Preston Avenue there at the corner of 8th and West Street. Remy, just locate the map. You can see there again, that northeast corner of 10th and Page. Remy, you can flick it. A little bit about the house. This is the Patterson Fleming House. Was constructed in 1905 by James Patterson and during World War II. So it's interesting that Mr. Fleming's or Mr. Hunt's family acquired this during the war. And James Fleming there on the right was a fireman with the railroad, and his wife Maud was a teacher at the Jefferson School for 40 years. And also, and I'll let Mr. Hunt share more of the family story, Mr. Fleming's grandfather, Henry Martin, was the bell ringer that's so well known at the university in the late part of the 19th century. And the property remains in the family's, family still owns it. Mr. Hunt is obviously Maud and James's grandson. And so this is good. Flick it, Remy. So by ordinance, you all established that we can designate individual properties as individually protected properties. This is a historic designation, and it allows us to designate historic buildings that lie outside of the historic districts that we have in the county, in the city. And we have currently 76 of those. There's a few of them that overlap within some of the ADC districts. And I can tell you, I'm very, as you know, very familiar with IPPs. Mine is one of the little dots there in north downtown. So this would, if approved, would be number 77. And put it in the staff report. I didn't, want to get too, unless you had some questions, we can talk about it. But, the significance of this property and of this house and its relationship to the 10th and Page neighborhood and telling the story of not only the Patterson family, but the Flemings and their ownership of that property. I think it's, we don't have a lot of properties that are designated that recognize the history of the Black community in the city of Charlottesville. So this is, it's just very pleased that Mr. Hunt approached us about this. You can flick the, so just very quickly, it's again in the staff report, the designation, it's consistent with what's in the comprehensive plan. It's certainly consistent with what's in our code. The designation is an overlay, so it does not alter the underlying zoning of the property, nor does it impact the properties adjacent to it, because it's not a district, it's only the parcel is being designated and the house with it. Something I wasn't, the planners share with me that we have some goals for equity and inclusion, and by that goal is advanced by extending the IPP protection onto this property, which is associated with 10th and Page and the history, the African American history in that neighborhood. And then finally, the nice part is this came from the property owner. This was their request, and we had a public meeting in Mr. Hunt's front yard in May. In March, and a lot of the neighbors came out, and nothing but support from it. And I even received a email earlier this evening, Preservation Piedmont, supporting this designation. So next slide. So back in January, the Board of Architectural Review evaluated the designation based on the criteria under 2.9.3 of the code, which gets at that historic character, the historic designation. And then in May, the Planning Commission voted to recommend approval of the IPP designation, and that was applying the criteria that looks at the zoning map amendment and the zoning text amendment. So with that, staff, we recommend that you all, City Council, by adoption of the resolution for a zoning map amendment and by adoption of a resolution for the zoning text amendment, approved the designation of 801 West Street as an individually protected property. And I think there has to be a second reading of this, so there's no action this evening. And then with that, I know Mr. Hunt is here, and I want to really let him share his story and why he approached us about protecting his house. So do you all have any questions for me?
We'll hear from Mr. Hunt, and then we'll bring it to council. Thank you.
Good evening, and
Good evening.
thank you for considering my application. Mayor Wade, council members, thanks very much. I'm Richard Hunt, and a little over 70 years ago, I was born here at the university. So that means I'm just turned 70, and this is getting close to my bedtime, so I won't keep you. But I didn't know anything about an IPP until my property manager, Kevin Blair, who's been working with me for 10 years, mentioned that he was working with the bar on a project, and I said, well, what's an IPP? And when I came to understand what it was, it pretty much read exactly what our home is. I got the sense that it was intended to protect and preserve and frankly, to honor properties like the ones that my grandparents invested in during the war. My family has been in Charlottesville for many, many, many years. My great-great-grandfather was Henry Martin. My grandmother, some of you may have grandparents or parents who were taught by Maud Fleming. She taught for 35 years or so at Jefferson. And then when she retired, somehow they pulled her back, and she spent another 5 years as the librarian at what was then called Venable. And I am just proud to be part of this community and to have this long lineage here. But I'm also very proud of our neighborhood, and I would love, if you approve, to see this IPP designation honor the neighborhood and the contributions of our community, the teachers, the doctors, the laborers, the people who've been the fabric of Charlottesville all these years, including my uncles who were displaced as part of the Vinegar Hill situation. Their barbershop had to be relocated. Some of your relatives may have gotten their hair cut with my uncles. Nevertheless, it's a long time. The home, by the way, is terrific. Thanks to Kevin, thanks to a renovation that we did to make sure that the infrastructure was solid. We have done foundational work, we have done plumbing work. The point is that the home is going to be here for many years, and after I'm gone, it'll be in the hands of my stepson and his lovely wife and their growing family. And my intention is that as long as we can paste that thing together and prop it up, it'll be here to remind folks of what has been and what is to come. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. I'll bring this to council. Lloyd, do you have any comments?
No comments, no questions. It seems appropriate.
Yeah. Michael?
And this is a public hearing, correct?
Yes, we're hearing from,
Well, no, I mean, comment-wise, I'd say I'm fully in support of it. The question I have to staff is, there's obviously a rich tapestry of Black history in 10th and Page and Fifeville and Rose Hill that historically the city has overlooked and not preserved and kind of viewed just as investment opportunities, where you compare the historic preservation that's occurred in areas around the University of Virginia or North Downtown or other areas. But that history is still there, and it still matters of people who were civil rights leaders, community leaders of not just local, but statewide and national significance. All of which is to say, if any neighborhoods are interested in expanding the amount of IPPs or pursuing a historic district that protects and uplifts more of that history, what does that process look like? How should people begin thinking about it or are there city staff they should reach out to?
Unfortunately, I need more work to do, but I would welcome inquiries about it. Back in 2020, coming out of COVID, we did the historic survey of the entire 10th and Page neighborhood, and even carried it across Grady Avenue and going up towards Rosser in there. And it was the largest neighborhood survey the city's ever done. It was about 450 properties, and we had a big firm work on it with us, and it was the kind of the hole in the donut of all of the history of the surveys that have been done in the city. This was one place that hadn't been done yet. We'd done Star Hill, we did Rose Hill, we did Fifeville. The report from that was reviewed by the Department of Historic Resources, and it was recommended as eligible for a historic district on the National Register and on the Virginia Landmarks Register. The thing is that those steps, there's two things could be done. There's the state and national designation, which is primarily the honorary. There's no regulations that come with it. And then there's the local designation, as we're doing with the individually protected property. That's where then the Board of Architectural Review has purview. So that's where there's for example, Fifeville is on the National Register, but only a few properties in there are locally designated, such as the 2 houses on 7th Street that we've been talking about. So I would encourage any people are interested, and I think the sites are there. We've surveyed them. We certainly know where individuals lived, but it really has to come from the neighborhood. If Mr. Hunt hadn't come from him, these things aren't going to occur, because they are accepting, with the local designation, you're accepting that obligation to abide with the Board of Architectural Review. At the same time, more than happy to entertain a National Register nomination for that district. I think it'd be really interesting. That does not come with any regulation. It's not an inexpensive project to prepare a National Register nomination, but I think it would be a wonderful thing for the city to consider.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And I 1,000% agree. Anything has to be bottom up. It can't just be the city deciding,
It's gotta
we're going to
be,
do this.
yeah.
But is there a best contact point if there's anyone in the Fifeville Neighborhood Association, to the Page Neighborhood Association, Rose Hill Neighborhood Association, to reach out to begin that conversation?
Most of the folks that are involved in, just back to Carmelita, the folks that are involved in the history of these communities, a lot of them know me, and I have, connection, relationship. But yeah, to be, like when we completed the Rose Hill neighborhood survey, that was eligible. That was back in 2019. But when we spoke to the neighborhood, there was a lot of pushback. Now, we did get out of that the designation of Jackson P. Burley High School on the National Register, which was, so, we don't have to, there are small victories that can be had here, and I think anybody that's interested should contact me, Werner, JB at charlottesville.gov, and Werner with an E, and then we have the Historic Resources Committee. We also have Preservation Piedmont in town. So we've got some folks that can be helpful if there's interest.
Mm-hmm. That's it for me, and I don't proclaim to know the answer, but it's just for individuals and neighborhoods to just be aware it's something available to discuss and consider.
And so I don't know, I know you got a hearing, if necessary, but what's the next step?
No, we're not finished yet.
Still have-
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I've got questions.
Okay.
Thanks. So can you talk a little bit about the benefits and the restrictions that come with having a property become an IPP?
So, I try to separate myself from speaking as the owner of a historic property and speak as staff, but I think that it's the one thing that we hope we accomplish with our historic preservation ordinance is that we're able to tap the brakes on demolitions. Now, yes, there's folks will say, well, the Board of Architectural Review gets to review this or that, and they do, but it's not an unreasonable process. Some people, but said I very thorough discussion with Mr. Hunt about, okay, these are the things that will be going on. But I think the benefits of it are that, I mean, my house has a story and it has value, and it means something. So, I mean, people want to be part of a story. And so acknowledging that in some formal way, and then the city's ordinance promotes this. This is what the city wants to do with historic districts and historic properties. So I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
And then the restrictions that come from being an IPP?
The only restrictions are that any demolition, exterior alterations, or any new construction. Let's say Mr. Hunt wanted to build a house and the next to his. It would be subject to review by the Board of Architectural Review. And, but there's anything you do on the inside is not in BAR purview. The underlying zoning is not affected by, the BAR doesn't evaluate the use. So it's an aesthetic regulation. And I think, again, the most important one is that if someone wanted to demolish that, as you've seen, we've dealt with a couple of appeals in the last year or two. It's a means to hit the brakes, but it's not, everything that the BAR does, the BAR does is appealable to you all on City Council.
And you said it doesn't affect the zoning, so there still could be an accessory dwelling unit built in the backyard. It doesn't restrict that land use space, the space of that.
Yes.
And then, are we allowed to ask questions to Mr. Hunt? Sorry, there are people at home, so it does involve the microphone. Sorry. Thank you for sharing your story. Did you spend time growing up or living in the house?
Boy, did I. I was schooled in Philadelphia, but until then, and for every summer, until I graduated from college, I was at 801 West Street. And I was running all over town with bikes, which you could do then. And I was hanging out with my cousins and my relatives, and I always told people I had two hometowns. I had Charlottesville and I had Philadelphia, and that's a pretty good pair.
Yeah, not bad. And then but you don't live there currently?
Now I'm only here every couple of weekends because I married the most wonderful woman in the world, and she lives in Durham.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
I live with her.
Okay, thank you. All right, those are all my questions. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
No, not right now. Thank you, sir. I'll now open up the public hearing for this. Would anyone like to speak on this? Yeah. If it's referring to this.
What?
If it's referring to this.
This item.
This item, yes, yes. I'm sorry. Yes. Oh, yes. Is it referring to this? Yes. Okay.
Thank you. I just want to highlight that Mr. Hunt indeed described the house being kept in, it's not an individually protected property right now, but he's kept that house up. And conceivably, that's something that we should indeed want of every IPP. And it would be a shame if they weren't kept up and that became a rationale for requiring extraordinary means of preserving them. Owners should keep them up. If not, they should be subject to some type of encouragement to keep them up.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak on this? If not, I will close the public hearing. Is there support for this to be on the consent agenda for the next meeting? I think so, yes. So, Madam Clerk, if you can put this on the consent agenda for the next meeting. The next item is a public hearing, an ordinance for, again, 801 West Street. It's a zoning map amendment designation for individually protected property. So I think it's the... Yes, yeah.
Jeff Warner, I'm the Preservation Design Planner for the city. Yes, that's, I was hoping to cover it all under one staff report, so, but if you'd like to just talk about the other one, we can.
Yeah. So it's this is the other one was a zoning text amendment. This is a zoning map amendment. So are there any additional questions on this from council?
Yeah, small question. You had mentioned you had done a survey of the neighborhood. How come this house wasn't selected initially?
It was. I mean, as far as,
But not as an IPP?
and I have a copy, it's
on
on
our
our,
list, yeah.
I can share the link, because our Laserfish is a little chaotic, but this was actually, of the properties that were surveyed, this was one that was recommended eligible for the National Register as an individual property. That was very unique. So there's only a handful of, but because of its age, it was recommended, but it is as individual property. So Mr. Hunt could pursue a National Register designation if he wished to. But the entire district, and the idea is that, you know, the quilt is the sum of its parts. So the preference for the Department of Historic Resources and the feds is to have an intact district, the accumulation of the whole. So, so yes, the whole district was recommended. This would be a contributing property to that, but it was also recommended eligible individually.
Sorry, can the city determine things are IPPs on their own, or does it have to come from the, towards the city?
It is, my house is not on the National Register, it is not on the Virginia Landmarks Register, it came up short. But it is an IPP, therefore I can't knock it down. And I often tell people, Albemarle County does not have a historic preservation ordinance. Monticello is on the National Register, it's on every register, it's known to man, but the county could not deny a demolition permit for Monticello. There's no legal means to say, no, we won't give you one. Whereas my house that isn't on, but because of that local designation, that's the break that we have. So no, it does not, it is not required to be on the National Register, on the state register. We do prefer that before we consider something that we've done the survey, we at least understand that property, and which we've done.
So can the city point at a property and say, you are now an IPP, or does it have to come from the owner of that property asking the city to make the designation?
You could. You actually could. The last situation we had was some houses on 12th and Rosser, but we had some difficulty with the there was 6 properties associated with C.H. Brown, the homes and properties that he built. And when I talked to Ralph Brown, I said, well, what we need is, I need those 6 property owners to unequivocally say, we want to be in a district. I said, otherwise I can't take it to council. So I won't bring something to you unless, if it's an individual property, if that person consents to it and wants to do it, yeah, we'll do it. But if they're opposed to it, I couldn't in good faith bring it to you all.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay. So no other questions from council. I would now open up the public hearing for for the zoning map amendment. Would anyone like to speak on this? If not, I will close the public hearing and bring this back. And this can also, if there's no concerns, be on the consent agenda for the next council meeting?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sounds good to me.
All right. The next item on the agenda is a public hearing in ordinance to update the citizen participation plan, a component of the city's community development block grant and home improvement partnership program and associated municipal code. Mr. Warren.
Good evening, Mayor Wade.
Good evening.
Council, Ms. Thomas. My name is Anthony Warren. I'm with the city's Office of Budget Grants Management. Here tonight to seek your consideration of some modest updates to the Citizen Participation Plan. By way of background, the Citizen Participation Plan is a requirement for participation in HUD-funded programs. The city benefits from HUD funding through a variety of different mechanisms, but for this purpose, the primary two programs are the Community Development Block Grant and the Home Investment Partnerships programs. Our goal in this work has been to maintain the city's commitment to active engagement in the work that we do and to expand opportunities for participation among all members of the community. The proposals that are made, and we can go into those in a little bit, but they are intended to expand opportunities to serve, and they build on what was last passed in 2016. HUD recommends that the CPP is updated approximately every 5 years. There's no firm requirement. Ours was last updated in 2016, so this brings a lot of the language and reflects a lot of the changes in practice. There's not really a significant underlying profound change. We're going to continue to do the work that we do. We're going to continue to try to bring activities before you that will make a meaningful contribution to life in Charlottesville. So with that, next slide, please. All right. So basically, Citizen Participation Plan, it's not part of the 5-year consolidated plan that HUD requires, but it is supportive of that. I would recommend that the city kind of adopt a 5-year schedule for updating this, preferably 1 year ahead of the development of the next 5-year plan, which will be occurring in the near future. This has been publicly noticed. There's been a 30-day public comment period, and now we are engaging in the first of 2 public hearings for this item. Just a brief summary of some of the changes. A lot of the changes between these 2 documents, and when I say 2 documents, one is the actual plan itself that is submitted to HUD for approval, and the other is a section of the city's municipal code that is supportive of that is kind of the enacting legislation that drives some of these changes. A lot of the changes were around language, bringing in more HUD language, trying to make the documents more accessible to the public, less explicitly technical in terms of language. So there are a number of different sections of the actual municipal code. It traditionally has been referred to as a Community Development Block Grant Program, so we added a new section to speak to the home program and the work that is done by our partners at the Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission. We included new section 2419 to talk about the actual plan itself. So if anybody from the community who's not aware of what the plan involves, they can go and kind of read a little bit more about what it does. One of the biggest changes that we are proposing relates to the membership of the CDBG Home Task Force. This is an all-volunteer group of people who come together periodically throughout the year to review requests for funding through these 2 programs and to formalize funding recommendations to council. With council's approval of those recommendations, we then turn those into grant awards that then enable these groups to go out into the community and do a variety of different good works.
It says that the task force, you're increasing the number of seats for representatives from public services groups from 1 to 2. Did you decrease a seat elsewhere, or did you just add overall?
Thank you. No, that's a great question. So we're trying to maintain the representation at 9 for a variety of reasons. Having boards have an odd number of members is good policy because then there's less chance of a tie. So what we have done previously, certain seats were designated for specific neighborhoods. And a lot of feedback that we get from the community is that prevents people who want to become involved because if that seat is filled for their neighborhood or they're not representative of the school board, planning commission, or what are called public services groups, traditionally nonprofits, then they don't have an opportunity to serve. So what we've done is we've taken the 5 seats and made them citywide eligible with a preference for neighborhoods that are traditionally served by this program. And That has opened up the seat that was previously designated as an at-large seat to then be designated for these public service nonprofit organizations. In just the 3 years that I've been here, we've had a number of people who've wanted to participate, but they don't live in one of the designated neighborhoods, and the public services nonprofit seat has already been filled, and so that doesn't leave them an avenue to participate. So.
Great, thank you.
There was language previously about subcommittees. We kind of deprioritized that language because we really don't have technical subcommittees, but there is an ability for City Council to designate people to serve on ad hoc special purpose subcommittees if they so choose. And then clarified annual processes that are related to these programs in the interest of transparency. Some of these weren't included in what is the current plan, and we just want to make sure that they are there. Specifically for when we propose new activities that HUD classifies as substantial amendment, there's a 30-day public comment period. Under Section 2423, procedures for public hearings, just a little minor change to update a reference to Virginia State Code. And then there's a reserve section, which I don't know why there is, but it always has been there. So, again, all of these are, in substance, meant to try to preserve the city's commitment to active engagement. I invite anybody who is interested in any of the vacancies that we have on the task force to reach out. I can give you any of the information. I can put you in connection with some of the members who are on the task force, including one of our members who is here tonight on another matter. And with that, I open myself to any questions you may have.
Thank you. Is this a public hearing?
Yes.
Okay, yes. But before we do that, we'll see if there are other questions from council. Jen, you have a question?
Is there any HUD, HUD is changing so drastically. Is there any HUD compliance deadlines right now driving this, or it just was time to do it? It was discretionary?
There's no specific requirement. There is an expectation that they're done generally every 5 years. So the fact that this is approximately a 10-year-old document, it doesn't reflect a lot of the recent changes, language, terminology, those kind of things. So there's no specific requirement other than the fact that in about a year or so, we're going to be developing the next 5-year plan. And we wanted to get this in place before, especially since council is asking for a streamlined timeline for putting the funding recommendations. This will help us kind of consolidate that timeline a little bit.
Okay. Lloyd, do you have anything?
Just one thing. Mr. Warren, I was thinking about your comment about eliminating provision for subcommittees. There isn't anything that would prevent the CDBG committee from sort of picking a few people from the neighborhood they wanted to talk to a few more times, right?
Correct. There's nothing to prevent that from happening. I didn't say we were trying to remove that language, just trying to reduce the amount of space that it took. Because the main point that I wanted to try to preserve was that council has the right to designate members from the community to add special purpose subcommittees as you see fit. And that was, from what I read, the main goal of that language. So,
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Natalie?
No questions for me, thank you.
Okay. Michael?
No questions, just comment as you highlighted the importance of CDBG for anyone in the community watching is it's a pool of federal money that can go to neighborhoods that historically were disinvested in or the city didn't prioritize for investment. And there are currently openings on the CDBG board with an application deadline of August 1st. So if anyone in the community is interested in getting involved in that work, those seats are open.
Yeah, I just had, a question maybe for the public, because we've talked just tonight alone about the various public hearings. And at 4 o'clock, we talked about input for the transportation plans. And so is this plan different from that? Like for this, since it's federal funds, is certain things we have to do? Is this more or less comprehensive than what we would do for the transportation plan that we talked about earlier today?
That's a really good question. It's still designed to comply with all the elements of Virginia public meetings law. There are HUD-specific requirements, so if we're going to change a previously approved activity by giving a certain amount of money more or changing the scope, that would require a 15-day public comment period that's noticed in the Daily News. But if we're going to introduce a new activity, that would be a 30-day. So there are HUD-specific things that are not generally required of others.
So I just said that as a city, we should try to be consistent as possible with these different plans. So like if we're doing this, the public may think we're doing one way, but instead, so we just want to be consistent as we possibly can as we go through the different plans, as we have these different studies, so the public will know.
And yes, we've tried to maintain consistency with all of the other common practices. There's no HUD-specific requirement, for example, for 2 public hearings before City Council. We approach these public hearings with that 2 readings in mind because that's a longstanding city practice that we agree with.
Okay. So that we have one for a resolution and one for ordinance. And it doesn't appear that we need a public hearing for the resolution, if I'm...
You're good in just a single public hearing on both items.
Okay.
I'm happy to read.
Okay.
Did we do the public?
No.
If I could just add, just following up on something that Councilor Payne said with the openings on the board, the new seats have not yet been designated, so the new proposal for those seats is not effective yet.
Right. Once we if we pass this, that would get updated.
Yes.
Great, thanks.
So before we go with the motion, I'll open up the public hearing for the public participation process for the CDBG program. Would anyone like to speak on this? If not, I will close the public hearing on this, and we can
move approval of the resolution as presented in the agenda packet.
And do we do them together or separately?
You should vote separately.
Okay, thanks. Second?
Okay. All in favor? Oh, wait. We can. Lloyd, what?
I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm a yes.
Yes, yes.
So
I didn't get, mine didn't come up, but I support it. Okay.
And so I would now move approval of the ordinance as presented in the agenda packet.
Second.
All in, we'll vote. Lloyd, do you support it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'm seem to have some problems, but here it is.
To Mark, who did
Okay.
the
All right.
motion and second.
Yep. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, great. The next item is we had a lot of public hearings, so you can tell we didn't meet at the beginning of the month. A public hearing for resolution for a right-of-way agreement executing the dedication of an easement to Dominion Energy. Mr. Cooper will present.
Good afternoon, good evening, Mayor Wade, council members, City Manager Sanders. This agenda item of a public hearing and resolution for approval is associated with our Charlottesville Area Transit battery electric buses used for city transit and the need for installation of a charging equipment on city property located at 1545 Avon Street, which is the CAT transit parking lot. Accordingly, the fixed battery electric busage charges linked to Dominion Power or Dominion Energy power grid must be installed in the CAT transit bus parking lot to ensure as-needed bus charging capability when not operational. To install the charging equipment, Dominion Energy is in need of a 15 by 50 foot easement area to install a transformer, and underground cables. Authorizing the approval of the attached agreement in the packet will allow completion of the city installation for Dominion for the charge station. Following the conducting the legal required public hearing, city staff recommends City Council approve the execution of the attached agreement, dedicating the requested easement on city-owned property to Dominion Energy as presented. The department, I move for the adoption of the agreement resolution dedicating the Dominion Energy the requested easement on city-owned property.
Okay, so we'll go with questions. Lloyd, I'll go with you first.
I have no questions. No questions.
Okay, Michael?
No questions. Again, for the community, just highlighting this is a very small, concrete step towards being able to have our trial for battery electric buses and moving towards zero-emission buses in our CAT bus fleet. So I know this is a very small item, but exciting to see that move forward, and I have no concerns with the item.
And just one other thing, once this is approved, Dominion Energy is on call if we'll be able to get this done pretty quickly, so they're...
Okay.
They're waiting on site with
Yes.
bated breath.
Yes.
Natalie, did you have any questions?
How long will it take to do the installation?
It shouldn't take long. I would say once they get materials get in place, it'd probably take a month, two to get it activated and charged.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so if there, wait a minute, this is a public hearing. So that being said, I will open up. Would anyone like to speak on this item? If not, I will close the public hearing on this, and I'll take a motion.
Due to the packet arrangement, I have to read the resolution and then have the motion at the end, so please bear with me. A resolution granting an easement to Dominion Power to enable electrical power service to electrical charging infrastructure. Whereas the city has the need to install Charlottesville Area Transit, CAT, transit bus chargers, and whereas CAT buses will require access to electric charging infrastructure, and whereas Dominion Energy offers a program to support the city's fleet electrification initiatives by delivering and operating utility-owned charging infrastructure. And whereas the installation of electric charging infrastructure required the establishment of an easement to enable the provision of electrical service to the charging system. And whereas city staff has worked with Dominion Power to verify the location, effectiveness, and practicality of the proposed easement, and has concluded that these modifications are legitimate and necessary additions to the easement to enable Dominion to provide electrical service to the charging system. And whereas the proposed easement is depicted in instrument 81-26-00300, which is enclosed for reference, and whereas the electrical charging system will support the climate action initiative of electrifying the school bus fleet. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City of Charlottesville approves the existing easement provided to Dominion Power for the provision of electrical power service to the electrical charging system located at 1545 Avon Street Extended. That's the resolution. Now here's the motion.
Second.
Well, I gotta read the motion
sorry.
first. I move to pass this resolution and grant an easement to Dominion Power for the purpose of providing electrical power service to the electrical charging system at 1545 Avon Street Extended.
Now second.
Yes.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second. We can vote.
I'm a yes.
Okay. Okay, the motion passes 5-0. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is a resolution to appropriate $320,000 in school zone photo enhancement revenue for FY '27. It's the first of two readings. Roman?
Good evening again, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Councilors, Sam Broman, Assistant City Manager. I apologize for the hardship of you having to listen to me twice tonight, but Chrissy and I will tag team this one. But before she comes up and speak more specifically to the item, I just wanted to give you an overall update of Vera Mobility and where we are at. Currently, I have also Lieutenant Greg Wade on the line, who can also answer any specific technical questions that you may have as well. As you know, a resolution was approved in 2023 authorizing the use of speed cameras. The city went about, after the resolution, went about procuring a system, which we all know is currently Vera Mobility, to include setup and testing of this system to ensure operability and provide a time for our citizens to become familiar with it. Currently, the system is deployed at 3 schools with 2 cameras per school. The contract process currently Vera Mobility to review all of the infractions that are initially committed, and then what they do is forward it to CPD to then verify it and issue the summons, if you would. Once the violations are reviewed by Vera Mobility, as I said, and they are deemed a viable infraction, those are then sent to CPD for validation and issuance of the summons. Currently, funding costs, just to talk a little bit about funding, we are enrolled in what is called, according to the contract, a flexible spending plan, which by the contract allows monies collected as fines to then be used as monthly payments for the cost of the system. And correct me if I'm wrong, Lieutenant Wade, please feel free to step in at any time. We pay about $25,000 a month for those 6 cameras, along with the operations and the technical support that we receive from Vera Mobility. In order to successfully participate in the flexible spending plan, CPD is not allowed to reject more than 10% of the viable infractions. And so currently, we are within that, currently only at a rejection rate of about 2%. Currently, there is an average of about an 80% successful payment ratio, and the remaining 20% is currently referred to collections or a collection status and deemed delinquent. So as we move forward, our operational relationship with Vera Mobility, as it matures, there are currently additional items that we are working on with Vera Mobility before expansion considerations are contemplated. One being a more efficient monthly payment process, and Chrissy, am I correct, you'll get into that, as well as ensuring the newly enacted provisions of 46.282.1, which requires additional mandates as of July 1, 2026, to make sure that we are falling within the bounds of those new requirements, which include things like emergency action plans, things like procedures for contesting a ticket and establishing methods for answering questions, most of which we already have, by establishing a process in which we notify state police as to the numbers of the infractions that were recorded over the course of the year. And last but not least, ensuring that our purge is 21 days as opposed to the current 30 days. So with that being said, I will turn it over to Chrissy, and then we'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. So as you know, there are 6 cameras that were installed in October of 2025. In November of 2025, we received the first invoice in the amount of $25,504. As noted, the original agreement provided multiple payment options, but was silent as to which one was chosen. And so we have been reaching out, working with the vendor, as Mr. Roman noted, to try to figure out the best way to deal with this. As such, there were no dollars appropriated in the 25 budget, in 26 budget or the 27 budget. So in 26, we actually used the citywide reserve to pay those invoices. So from October 2025 to April of 2026, we had collected just a little over $177,000, and those were remitted to the vendor to pay for the cameras. The resolution before you is an estimate of the revenue that we expect to receive in 27. And so basically, we're just appropriating that revenue to be used as payment to the vendor.
Okay. Let's see, let me check, make sure this is a public hearing too. So before we approve this or vote on this, are there questions?
I note the recommended motion is just doing this in one vote, 4/5 majority, which I'm fine with. That's just what's in the packet. The only question I have, do I read correctly this in the agenda packet that it's anticipated in the future the revenue will not cover the cost of this system?
We do feel as it has turned out for the last few months, we have not collected revenue in the amount of the invoice that's due. And so, yes, that does hold, the balance holds over, and there will be probably a balance due at the end.
Because of school not being in session?
School not being in session,
People are
also
slowing down.
Yes, the idea, obviously, of the program is to improve, speeding. And so as the program continues, people are made aware of the cameras and things of such, less violations will occur, which is a good thing. And obviously, less fines being collected as well to cover the cost of the program as the program matures.
But it is true that we don't have it on during summer.
Correct.
That is correct. The cameras are only recording the violations, or violations are only being taken from the times in which schools are in sessions, and those flashing lights are flashing, indicating that it is a school speed zone.
Right, so I'm asking this just to clarify Michael's question of we're never gonna cover our summer months with the summer months, but are you asking if we're gonna cover the whole year with our school year months?
you mean cover the payment? We don't think that the revenue from the tickets will cover the whole cost of the cameras.
Yeah.
We think there'll be a balance due at the end.
Which is it's like the same principle as our paper bag, plastic bag fees. You want to see that go down, but sorry for interrupting. I just wanted to clarify
No,
the payment covering.
you're good. But yeah, that was my question, and interesting case study of companies establishing monopolies and costing cities money over time, but
Councilor,
that's beyond our.
if I could, though, I believe under the payment plan that we've selected, am I right that at the end, if there is a balance due that is forgiven at the end of the contract under the deferred payment plan?
That is correct. There is a portion of the contract that states if every facet of the contract is adhered to, one of them being the 10% rejection rate, and certainly there are others that there is an opportunity to forgive any debt at the end of the contract period, which for us is 5 years, and we are currently in year 1.
How likely is that?
One of the things that I've experienced with Vera Mobility is it is somewhat difficult to get concrete answers. So in saying that, you have to define the definitions. One of the options is we have to adequately collect delinquent fines. And so one of the questions that I've had for Vera Mobility is, what is the definite definition of collection of fines? And myself and the city attorney's office is currently working with Vera to establish what that definition is.
Mm-hmm. Right, which I imagine could be a conflict since, the city doesn't have a particular interest in pursuing aggressive collections against people who may have, a small balance.
This is correct. Vera employs or works with a third-party vendor to collect those fines, and we are choosing to, because we don't know much about the third-party vendor, we are choosing to create a process internally, working with the treasurer's office to ensure that we have a process in place for collecting debt, which is consistent with our community's expectations.
All that is very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to clarify, you had said companies with a monopoly, but there are other companies that do school zone cameras.
Yes, there are definitely other companies. Our jurisdictions around us use different companies as well.
And we're not legally bound to this company in any way. Other than the contract, sorry.
Other
I
than
mean,
the
it's not like
contract.
we, if the contract runs out, we do have the opportunity to sign with somebody else.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Did you have any other questions? Lloyd?
Yeah, I'm curious about one line in the memo that we got. It says, one of the options provided allows for the city to pay either the amount of the monthly invoice or the amount of enforcement revenue received, whichever is less. It would seem to me that under that formulation, it would be impossible for us to have a balance due.
That's just the payment on a monthly basis. Again, I think it's fair to say we've been in lots of conversations with them in terms of what is meant. A lot of their terminology in the contract is open to discussion. Would you say that's fair?
Well said.
As we understand it currently, on a monthly basis, we pay only what is collected or the invoice, whichever is less. And then at the end, depending on some evaluation period, if we've complied with all of the terms and conditions as to whether or not there will be a balance due.
But if we have complied with all of the conditions, there should be no balance due. Is that the expectation?
That would be correct at the
Yes.
end of the contract period.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay. Jen, have any questions?
No.
No. Okay, so this is the first of two readings that we want to have this as a regular agenda item at the next meeting, or consent agenda item?
I think we want to vote ahead with and waive a second reading.
And I would note, this is a contract we're already locked into, so this is just reallocation of money given that. So this is not really about the company or the terms of the contract. All that said, given that, I would move that City Council approve the resolution to appropriate $320,000 in school zone traffic camera revenue for FY 2027, waiving the requirement for a second reading with a 4/5 vote.
Second.
Second. Okay, it's been moving properly second. Let's vote.
Yes for me.
Okay. The motion passes, I believe, 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is a resolution initiating a referendum to authorize the imposition of a local general retail sales tax not to exceed 1%, the proceeds of which would be used solely for capital projects for the construction or renovation of public schools serving the city of Charlottesville. John Maddox will speak on this.
Good evening, Council. Tonight, I stand before you to present a resolution. This is the process to begin placing a school capital tax sales question before city voters on November 3rd. I think it's most important to note here at the outset that tonight Council is not imposing a tax. Rather, you're deciding whether the voters should be given the opportunity to authorize one. So Virginia state law, it was passed just here of its chinny chin chin in the state budget this year, now permits Charlottesville and any locality, counties and cities, to levy an additional local retail sales tax of up to 1%, but only after approval by referendum. The revenue from that 1% sales tax may be used only for new school construction or major school renovations, including the related bond and financing costs that would be attended those. It can't be used for school operating expenses, just for construction capital projects. It's important also to note that food purchased for home consumption and essential personal hygiene products are exempt. So groceries, personal hygiene products are not going to count toward the sales tax and won't have it charged. The tax will be administered and collected by the Commonwealth in the same manner as the existing sales tax. So what the resolution before you tonight does, it asks the Circuit Court to order the referendum for November 3rd, 2026. And if the resolution is approved tonight, I'm prepared to have a petition before the court tomorrow and to get that moving. We have until August 14th to get that order from the court ordering the referendum. The ballot would ask the voters whether the city should be authorized to levy a tax of up to 1% for qualifying school capital projects. The resolution, by law, we're only allowed to, the tax must expire 20 years after tonight's after tonight, the passage of the resolution. So that fixes a date of June 30th, 2046 as the expiration date. We'll have the flexibility to pay directly for eligible projects, issue bonds, retain loans, or use some combination of these approaches. I'm sure the city manager might be able to speak more to what our approach might be. The law only permits non-substantive changes that are, this resolution tonight only permits non-substantive changes that may be required by the court or the election. This is pretty much fixed. It was a lot of effort going into this resolution and the language because it has to be exact because we are taking this to the voters and we can't make a lot of changes. But if we need to make a little tweaking between now and August 14th, we can. What happens after tonight? If you pass the resolution, my office will file a petition, proposed order with the circuit court. It'll be placed in the it has to be placed in about 81 days before November 3rd, which is August 14th. That gives us our deadline. The clerk of court's going to publish notice once a week for 3 consecutive weeks in the paper. And if the voters approve the referendum, tax still doesn't take effect automatically. I will be back before you to pass an ordinance that would impose the sale and use tax at that time. At that point, council could set the rate at 1% or something lower. It's going to authorize you up to 1%. And any ordinance that would take effect on the first day of the month, at least 120 days after adoption. So assuming it's passed by referendum and assuming that this comes before you at the next available meeting, that's looking somewhere in the March, April, possibly early May timeframe for this to go into effect. So the decision tonight, again, is not whether to impose the tax, it's whether to place the question before the voters and allow them to decide whether council should have the authority to impose that tax. If the referendum passes, you still have to do the separate public process to determine whether to impose the tax. So without anything further, I'll take questions if you have.
Okay. Jen, you have any questions? No questions. Yeah. Lloyd?
No questions.
Okay. Michael?
No, long time coming, and
Yeah.
no issues with this resolution to bring it to the voters.
Yeah. Natalie?
Yeah, just a quick question for general clarification. That says the tax would not apply to food purchased for human consumption. Just to clarify the difference between restaurants and groceries.
Yeah, you have to kind of do a little bit of statute leaping to get there, but it's long standing. That's a term long used in Virginia tax law. It doesn't apply to food sold in restaurants. It's merely groceries.
So it would not be, groceries would not be taxed, but restaurants?
Groceries not taxed. Food sold in restaurants getting taxed.
Thank you.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure people understood that difference.
Yes. So I will now open up the, if there's no other comments or questions from council, I'll now open up the public hearing for this, for...
This actually isn't a public hearing.
That's a mistake.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry.
And just to also clarify, the reason why there's not tons of questions from tonight is because we did have a work session on this that we went over a lot of details.
Yes.
That is available to go back and watch as needed.
And I would offer, just because if I were a member of the public, I'd probably be asking the question, so what you going to do with the money? So there is additional work that needs to be done in settling on a scope for the program that would be our facilities development program for our schools. That work is still to be determined. We have been in regular conversation with representatives of the school system who are here tonight as well. There is a scope that needs to be determined based on what we think the proceeds of this tax to be over the 20-year period, as Mr. Maddox has indicated. There's also the ability for the city to use its bond capacity to expand those dollars. We've been working with our financial advisors to determine how far we should likely go with that, as it also means that council would be restricting their ability to pass other bond items for themselves for other projects that they might prioritize. So there is some wrestling with what we need to be able to identify for the public's benefit as to what a scope is. It is our priority that we would be able to conclude that conversation in a joint meeting on August 12th, where council and the school board will come together, and one of the action items, or I shouldn't say action items, but one of the agenda items is to hopefully finalize what we would like to make available for public consumption as to the purpose of the tax proceeds as it relates to school campuses within the city of Charlottesville. The goal would be to limit the number of schools that we are going to be able to touch so that the public can appreciate why they are passing a tax on themselves.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. been having lots of discussion with the school board. We have school board members Torres, Burns, and Richardson here, I think. And Ms. Bryant was here. Yeah. So, no other questions or comment? Is someone prepared to make a motion?
I would move approval of the resolution as presented in the agenda packet.
Second.
And Mr. Mayor, before you said comments, one comment I'd like to make is that one of the reasons this is necessary is that about 20 years ago, the state got out of the business of helping localities fund school construction. There used to be fairly significant contributions from the state. That went away some years ago. There are only very small contributions ever since. And places all over the state, counties all over the state, cities all over the state are having this problem. And this is basically a step we need to take because the state abdicated.
Yeah. Thank you. I can't remember if it was moved and seconded.
Yes, it's been moved and seconded. Count me as a yes.
Yes. The motion passes 5-0. All right, so I feel like tick.
Got to run now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is appointment of the Director of the Office of Police Civilian Oversight Committee, Board.
Good evening, Mayor Wade, Vice Mayor
Good evening.
Ostrom, and Council. It is a pleasure to come before you again this evening on behalf of the City Manager to request your appointment of James Walker to serve as the third PCOV Director. I want to apologize in advance that there was an administrative error in preparing the agenda. We had the opportunity to make a revision at the beginning of this meeting. With all the energy, the public comment, we didn't make this adjustment. So you did have the ability to make this appointment by motion. And so I would ask that if council's pleasure to approve this request or resolution on a single hearing.
Okay. Is there questions or comments concerning Mr. Walker's appointment as Director of the PCOB?
Before you do that, I would just simply like to offer that Mr. Walker has been consistently working hard at keeping the PCOB moving. He's been able to get a number of things organized and brought before you on a couple of occasions. Very dense material that has led to the clarifying of what the role is for board members. He's successfully participated in orienting new board members. They are working as a body, and the goal will be that we can make adjustments to the operating model and make sure that things actually hit a stride and maintain that stride. So that is the reason for, after an interview with myself and two members of the board, including Dr. Frazier, we are 100% in support of Mr. Walker taking over the reins permanently.
Thank you. Did you want to say a few words?
Please.
Well, good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, and Mr. Sanders. I appreciate this opportunity to be in front of you and for the words shared. My goal has been, since I came to, I come from an operations background, so part of what I view the role of this office being is to support and facilitate the civilian-led work of the board who represents the community. And so that effort means operationalizing many of the things that have needed to be operationalized over the years. And so that is my mission. We have a full board of 8 members who are on board with that mission and carrying this oversight work forward, of which there are members of the community here tonight or here earlier who were part of this original effort. It does not look the same as it originally did or was it originally intended, but we are moving forward with oversight that is focused, community-driven, transparent, and focused on accountability. So I appreciate your confidence in this. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any additional comments, sir?
No, Mayor.
Okay.
And we just want to acknowledge the members of the audience who are here tonight, who were part of the initial PCOB, as well as the advocacy to create this body in the first place. I just want to acknowledge all the years and countless time that you all dedicated, and I hope you were able to continue that work together with the community and the board. That said, I would be happy to move.
So, Michael, before that, I think that for a long time, the board is fully has all the members.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah. So great, and it's been hard to get members. So it's great, and now they're getting trained, and so it's going definitely moving in the right direction. So.
That said, I would move appointment of James Walker as Director of the Office of Police Civilian Oversight. Is there any other additional language that was needed, given the agenda
No,
packet?
that's it. It's just concurrence with my appointment.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved properly second. Lloyd, what
Yes.
say you? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes 5-0. All right, welcome. Welcome, sir.
Congratulations, Chairman.
Right. We have written report. If there's no comments on that, we will go to the second opportunity for community matters, and this is for the opportunity for people that didn't speak at the first hearing, and then you, Carmelo. Okay. Yeah, you got it.
Go to sleep. Well, good evening. My name is Gloria Beard, and I live in the Tenton Page neighborhood. I have lived there for 30 years and been in Charlottesville since 1972. My children were born here, but no longer live here. I worked and retired here and have witnessed some good things and some devastating things in this town, especially the year of 2017, when Charlottesville hosted the neo-Nazi and the Ku Klux Klan Unite the Right rally. Now here it is, 2026, and the Black historic neighborhoods are being threatened with high-rise apartments for UVA students. It wasn't enough for the Derrick building on Preston Avenue. Who can afford any of these buildings unless they're affordable? You allow these contractors from Texas and God knows where else to bid for every space in our neighborhood, to cause taxes to rise, and people could become homeless. We are upset with all the homeless people now that are dying and being sexually assaulted, you know. They are human beings and have nowhere to live for a long time. Why is that? Why is it taking so long to house these people? Because if we don't, you know, with things going up, a whole lot of us might be homeless, including me. Where am I going? Because I'm definitely not going to the nursing home. My question is, why was no respect given to First Baptist on 632 West Main Street and our pastor, Dr. Reverend Arthur Long? You sent those contractors after the deal had been made. How disrespectful was that? I haven't been a member since 2002 and love my church and church's family. We are the first colored church, as they call it, in Charlottesville. And now we ask, how long with the decisions you all made? We have a wonderful steeple on top of our church, which the people of faith means something, and now will be hidden from view because of that 7-foot building that they are going to build. Vinegar Hill all over again. And if y'all go to the library, there is a book about Vinegar Hill. I don't know if y'all seen this book. And it's, and wait a minute, I'm sorry. It's Vinegar Hill all over again, and it's 2026. I'm asking the city council to re-vote on approval of these high-rise student buildings out of respect for this city's black neighborhoods and the First Baptist Church. Thank you. And before I forget, there are 3 Airbnbs on Page Street.
Thank you.
And they are being rented. And you need to check it out because people are supposed to live there for a while. Nobody's in those buildings.
Thank you.
And they making money when people can live in them.
Thank you.
I'll say good night. Thank you for having me. Sorry I'm late. Just want to speak on the 7.5 Street project from the Fifield Neighborhood Association. I've lived in Charlottesville all of my life, and I feel like the city is all about UVA and its students, and not the people who voted you guys in and who you're supposed to represent. If your neighborhood is not close to UVA, 10th and Page, or downtown, then you're safe from these high-rise buildings. It's the people that live in these neighborhoods and the low-income residents that hurt the most. It's time to stop hurting these people in these neighborhoods. Start the healing and stop putting up a sign or two that folks ride by and don't even see. You're putting a Band-Aid on the hurt and the wound, and it's not healing. The sting is still there.
Thank you. Anyone over here like to speak?
My name is Abby Guskin. I live at on Fair Street here in Charlottesville. Just want to piggyback off of Miss Gloria's comment. My husband and I went through Fifield neighborhood. We went through 10th and Page neighborhood to try and just, create more people to show up and be involved in city council meetings. I can't tell you how many Airbnbs that are sitting there in Fifield that people have just scooped up with deep pockets, and also 10th and Page neighborhood. And I just want to, I think it's rather disturbing for livable Charlottesville. Livable Charlottesville has no respect for the city whatsoever. Livable Charlottesville, they're very excited about the land use project because now the comprehensive plan, thanks to the new zoning code enacted in Charlottesville, it's now possible to build more kinds of housing for more kinds of people. I wonder who those people are, because they certainly aren't the people that live in 10th and Page or Fifield. Those are the people that you're disrupting, is the black neighborhood, and that's more apparent. And I'd love to ask the lawyer here in Charlottesville, so with the Mark building, are there any restrictions or are there any laws against asking City Council to provide the housing that Mr. Gathers had asked, since we're not allowed, that you told us, to have a second vote, which is really sad because this whole community has not been involved. And First Baptist Church, that is a disgrace. That is a disgrace that this church, the oldest black church in this neighborhood, was not even brought to attention what was going on. And if you stand on West Main Street, Natalie, it'd be really nice if you would pay attention, because you're one of those people. It would just be really respectful, because you're one of the people that wanted respect at the June 24th meeting. And you're one of these people that believe in whatever the hell this is, your livable Charlottesville. It's disgraceful. You're going to give everybody and anybody that comes to this city a 100 hall pass to do whatever they want. That's not livable Charlottesville. Livable to who? And I want to read, I can't even, but thank you for letting me speak. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Ms. McDonald?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council,
Good evening.
City Manager. My name is Deanna McDonald, and let me just say up front, I have lots of titles. I'm an educator, I'm a member of First Baptist Church, I'm a nurse, I'm a community health advocate, I'm a business owner, I wear lots of hats. Today, I sit here just as a child of this community. My family goes back 5 generations, Charlottesville. Today, you've heard about housing, you've heard about homelessness, you've heard about these impacts, and now I bring before you also the grocery store. So today it was published that the food co-op cannot go at 501 Cherry Avenue. They voted to not go there because of financial reasons that are specifically tied to the building design. And contrary to what people would have anyone believe, is because there's too much going on at the site. You want to put housing, you want to put a grocery store, you want to put resource centers for youth. The real problem here is systemic racism. Can we talk about it? The real problem is that we don't have programs and policies in place to dismantle systemic racism. I urge this council to work with people like me. I have heard that this council, many of you don't want to work with people like me. I don't understand why. I feel like I have a good relationship. I don't come yelling and screaming. I'm an educator, so I can offer answers. You know, we could have an allocation of the budget where the residents could vote on what would go there. Dismantling of systemic racism would mean accountability for developers, all developers, not just those that come here, those that live here and own half the city. All developers, so that a community benefit like a grocery store couldn't get watered down in we tried to put so much on this site. What are we going to do with the money that city council allocated to that grocery store now? What is going to happen there? And we keep talking about affordable housing. We could put affordable housing in a place that's less dense. We are putting that all on the backs of these historically black neighborhoods. So the real problem here, and I know nobody likes to see me coming, nobody likes to hear me say, it is racism, it's systemic racism, and you all are the guardians at the gate. Work with me. I'm gonna keep showing up, even though I'm classified as angry, a bully. I'm passionate, and I'm frustrated. People are being harmed, my people. Please do better.
Thank you. Anyone over here like to speak? You, sir. You and...
As I said earlier, my name is James Rogers. I very recently relocated to Charlottesville. I moved my family here. I have deep ties to Virginia and a lot of love for this city. I've been very concerned as I've read the Daily Progress, just in being here the last 2 weeks, about events that have been reported in the city. And I'd like to just clarify one very important point that I believe was brought up this evening. I believe it was said, and please confirm if this was the case, that the intended shelter that would be opened in September would be an emergency shelter. Is that correct?
That is the initial posture, yes.
Okay, understood. Thank you, sir. And for my clarification and understanding, could you please define what an emergency shelter is?
This is your time to speak. I can speak after you.
Okay, I would be happy to follow up and hear that technical definition. I've read, as I'm sure many others in this room have, in the Daily Progress, about a spectrum of barriers that may be put in place for shelters. I understand from my reading, and I would love for you to correct me, sir, if I'm wrong after this discussion, that one of the perceived needs in the city is that there's not currently a low barrier shelter. I would love to know where on the spectrum, and I think this is very important for the community to be aware of, what the intended use of the shelter being discussed would be very specifically, and where on the spectrum of so-called barriers it would fall. I think there are some obvious concerns that come to mind when one contemplates what a low or no barrier shelter could practically mean for the community. I also believe the Code of Virginia explicitly has some notable criteria for what constitutes an emergency shelter, as well as, very importantly, whether such shelter would permit access to convicted sex offenders. I have a 1-year-old daughter. I missed her bedtime tonight to be at this meeting. And I've been here for 3 hours and heard people who are very sincere, all interested in trying to solve a very difficult problem. And I fully appreciate the difficulty that you have as a council and a group working with council to try and address this problem. I do not envy your position, but I can see that you have a lot of empathy. I hope as you're considering this very difficult question, we keep in perspective the broader community, not just potentially a vocal group of people who happen to attend a meeting. It's possible, and I don't know if this is the case, but it's possible that there is a very vocal minority and a silent majority. I have to ask myself as a parent with a 1-year-old daughter, how many other parents are not here and may share the same general concerns that I would have because they stayed at home for bedtime with their children tonight? I don't know the answer to that question. None of us do. But I hope that we're able to make sure that the community is sufficiently educated so that we can continue to have a very robust and respectful discussion. That's what everyone deserves. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Sam, did you want to give a quick definition of the emergency shelter, or you wanted to wait?
Yeah, I guess what I can share with you is that this community has been talking about homelessness for a very long time. I think the more accurate statement is it's probably been about 20 years that we've been talking about it, and we have not fully talked about it. There's been an ongoing need for us to identify what resources, I refer to it as rungs on a ladder, so that people can actually see that particular image. This community does not have a low barrier shelter in existence today. We have high barrier shelter, and then we also have a low barrier shelter that only exists during the winter months. The goal is for us to have a low barrier shelter operational all year long. That is what the city is working on. That is what we have prioritized. We have to be very careful with what we are going to admit and accept in any facility that exists. But I'm a straight talker. I mean, we have to appreciate the notion that individuals are in this community and we don't know all the details about those individuals. So if we can at least find a place, they don't have to be outside. Therefore, we can make sure that we know who's where and what issues they face and get them the help that they need. That is the commitment that I've offered as the city manager for the city of Charlottesville, to continue to focus our efforts. We have our council member with some available time who's been working feverishly on this issue. We are working regularly with the organizations here in our community that have been on the ground doing the work. To be perfectly frank, the capacity is not there to do all the things that we need. We are now trying to build that capacity outside this community as well. So the work that we're doing at this present time is meant to be comprehensive. It is to come at this issue from every angle that we possibly can, and to ensure that if there is anyone missing a step on that ladder, that we're going to be able to find a way to produce that for them. That comes with some expectations, it comes with some standards, it comes with rules. And that is going to be a hard conversation for us to have, because tonight we were able to represent the entire spectrum of that conversation. So yeah, it's difficult. It's all right. I'm here for that.
Yeah. Over here? Yes, sir.
Mayor Wade, councilors, good evening. My name is Sam Galland. Thanks for the opportunity to speak tonight. I wanted to speak in support of the city's decision to transition the encampment on the Rivanna. I will say, I was not here at the beginning of the meeting, but my wife spoke. She was not able to finish. She's very good at speaking for 2 minutes or 3 minutes, so I think she was drowned out. I'm going to be brief so that she can finish. My perspective on this is pretty simple. I believe that public spaces are important. I believe that the city should protect and maintain them and allow them to be available to the public. And I think the city should not allow these spaces to be taken away. What we've seen on the river is completely antithetical to what the city has been planning there for years. It has been terrible for families and citizens that rely on that space. It's been a disaster for people that try to run businesses and breathe life into this city. So again, I wanted to applaud the efforts to restore the riverfront and help people who need help. I will say, and I'm kind of catching up on this, I believe last September there was a resolution proposed by Chief Kachis, and if I understand correctly, that would have codified that camping on public land is not allowed. I think that was last September. In my opinion, that would have been a more fair and better course of action to adopt that back then to both citizens and to people that have sat up there under the belief that that's their land. And I would encourage the city to take that back up and just be clear that we're going to be consistent moving forward and not have this be kind of stops and starts. So again, thanks for the opportunity to speak. I think we have 1 minute left.
No, no, I'm sorry, our policy doesn't, we've heard from her, we heard, if you have any additional comments, you can email it to us, so,
Well,
thank you.
I had to ask, so.
Thank you so much, thank you. Here in the middle, yes?
Hi, my name is Lizzie. I live off of Cherry Avenue, and I have a solution to all of this huge, difficult problem. You guys are gonna hate it, but that's fine. If you just magically had like around $24 million that you could put towards housing, then you could just give people who are currently unhoused housing, because I hear you say that you want to house the people who are currently living in the encampment, and I believe that most of them also want to be housed. But you mentioned that there's no capacity for it, or like capacity to like match people with resources. But it seems like what's really missing is the actual like concrete places of like where those houses are that people are gonna go, or where the shelter space that actually works for everyone is gonna go. So anyways, this magical $24 million could perhaps come out of the police budget. You can literally just abolish the police and then instead give everyone who needs a house for the $24 million. You could actually buy like 48 single-family homes in Charlottesville, but probably that's kind of weird, so maybe you would rather do like apartments, so you could just buy 100 apartments and just give them to people, and then everyone has housing and they're not criminalized, and it really does solve all those problems. I know you're not going to do that, so I'm going to talk about some other stuff too during my time, but just for your consideration. It kind of seems to me like you guys are all talk when it comes to the emergency shelter, like you want it to happen and be ready, but it's not. And I think part of that is, like, I've heard people saying, we're going out there, we're surveying people to find out what their needs are. I think everybody has already been surveyed, their needs are already captured by the Haven, and it's just like the capacity and the resources don't exist. So I'm hoping that either you guys are just paying lip service about this September 1st thing so that the Redditors leave you alone and you won't actually do anything. You'll kind of be like, oh yeah, we'll take care of it September 1st, and September 1st rolls around and you don't, rather than just put people in jail or put them in places against their will. But I guess what I'm saying is, like, if you're just gonna give empty words, like, please give it to the people who are opposed to people just existing on the Ravenna Trail, and like actually do something for the people who are living there. It would also mean a lot to them if you called out the TikTokers who are going down there and harassing them. Like, that would really mean something. Also, like, the police driving through there every night is keeping people awake, and they have health conditions and they're not sleeping well. It's making everything worse. So if you could call out the police and ask them not to do that, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm not the best public speaker, so sorry if I stumble over my words. My name is Io Long. I am a lifelong Central Virginia resident, a UVA student, and now a proud resident of Charlottesville, and I am asking you tonight to not go through with the plans to remove the Free Ridge encampment until everybody has a house to go to. And I say this because all of the decisions regarding homelessness and housing affordability have been completely unfinished for as long as I have been here. I have seen the MARC go almost restricted, and then you did not do that. I have seen, thank you for mentioning the co-op, that is no longer going through and no longer going to help people with food. And I have seen that you are going to force everybody to leave the Freebridge encampment without actually having the shelter ready to house them. It doesn't exist yet. And furthermore, I have seen that the shelter is going to supposedly provide services to get people into new housing. However, we don't have the units for that. They're not there. And so all the units are now going to be going to the children of the politicians and corporate overlords who are able to afford to send their kids to UVA, while everybody else, well, the residents that cannot afford their groceries, the UVA students that are having to rely on the university and federal funding, as well as having 2 jobs like I do in order to just barely get by, it's not working for us, you know? And I would really like if y'all got some new glasses, reevaluated your priorities, and helped first. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am? Hello.
I'm Kagel McDonald. I'm live over on North, and my husband and I moved to Charlottesville from New York just 3 years ago after visiting the first time in 2019 after my daughter moved here. One of the uniquely wonderful, magical places we instantly loved about this city was the Ravenna Trail. And it has been heartbreaking to observe how the encampments along the river have grown, how the situation has become increasingly dangerous for the people that are living there and for the community at large. It's unsanitary and it's destructive for everyone. I am here to applaud the council's decision to end the encampments, and I am hopeful that what I've heard about your dedication to treat the people living along the river with respect is true. That is what I've been able to feel from you tonight. I've also here, and my heart goes out to the people who are so frustrated and living in these conditions. I want to commend you for if you are connecting them to the resources they need. And I'm also sure that there are so many people in this community that would like to be helpful. People who may be on different sides of this situation. They also want things to be safe. So you don't need any more work than you already have, but if there could be some way of connecting people, a simple list of how people can be helpful, whether it's, I don't know where to begin. I don't know where to begin. And you've been dealing with this for 20 years. But to volunteer for something, you have to go through, I can't imagine what people are doing trying to get the help they need. We can't even figure out how to help in a little way. Where do you donate? Anyway, any way of guidance to the neighbors and the people in the community would be helpful. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll get you.
Hi, I'm Ren Walker. I live off Cherry Ave. For the last 2 years, every several months, someone I know personally has become homeless. We talk about homeless people and housed people like they're these different separate categories that never mix. And that's not true, right? We don't have jobs here that pay the rent. We talked about how half the people in this city who pay rent can't really afford their rent, right? Everyone's one broken car, one job firing away from maybe being on the street themselves, right? The people who live at Freebridge used to live all over the city. Many were housed, many were not. The city's pushed people into one place. These are our residents, right? These are our residents more than UVA students, more than people who just moved here from out of town, right? We have a responsibility to all our residents, whether or not it's pretty, right? Let's take care of everyone who's here and not criminalize people for existing because of the economic situations that we've created through zoning and through business decisions. This is our problem to solve. It's not the fault of people who are here. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sarah Tansey. I live in the Hogwaller community. I've been in Charlottesville for 15 years. It's late, I'm exhausted. I'm an early childhood educator. I was at school all day with my 3 to 8-year-old students. One of my 7-year-old students signed up to speak but was on the wait list, so she prioritized bedtime. Many of my students wanted to be here tonight. They care about our community. They're not afraid of people who are living in the wild, on the streets. We see them all the time when we're downtown. I don't really have anything nice to say, but the decisions you all are making as a council are not nice, so I don't actually feel that bad about it. Your leadership is uninspiring, uninteresting, mediocre, and frankly, not surprising at all. From 10th and Page to Freebridge, you are sanitizing, you are serving power, you are serving whiteness, you are serving money. I've sat through this entire meeting. I've been at city council meetings for years. You are no different than those who have come before you. You are not pushing for actual, functional, meaningful solutions. You are part of the problem of power, each of you. You are choosing to push people out of sight, out of mind. You are allowing whiteness and power to tower over Black communities that saw Confederate statues put up in those same spaces to terrorize them decades ago. That's all. It is just more of the same. There is no bold, inspiring leadership before us, and we deserve it. You want to know who to donate to? There are so many mutual aid organizations in this city actually doing the work of supporting people who need support, because we know that all of us need support at any given time. It could be you, it could be me, it could be our neighbors at Freebridge, our neighbors who are also citizens. Weird thought.
Please, you can. Please don't,
Please,
comment.
yes.
Shh, thank you.
I don't really have much else to say. It's disappointing, but it's not surprising. In Charlottesville, the liberal bastion that invited UTR into our streets and then acted like they didn't know what was going to happen, year after year after year, we see the same decisions. It's not anything new.
Thank you. Anyone over here like to speak? If not, I'll go here in the middle. I think, yes.
Hi, my name's Jenny Ragsdale. I live on 7th Street at 300, right next to the proposed mark. So obviously that's what I'm going to talk about. I think some amazing points have been brought up at all of the meetings we've had about the church and the neighborhood and the history, and they're all incredibly important and they've been spoken to poignantly. There's also been a lot of issues brought up about the infrastructure. I don't know that we've talked about that as much. I live right there on that corner, and when the train is coming by, there's no getting in or out of that street. If I were in my house and needed an ambulance or a fire truck, it would not make its way there. There's traffic from Delavant, from the railroad track, all the way past Dice Street that you can't get past. And I haven't heard that addressed at all. I wish it would be addressed. But mostly I think of the neighborhood itself and the church And I think we've all heard Vinegar Hill brought up multiple times tonight. And I think if we could go back in time to the day before they started raising that neighborhood, we would want to stop it. And I've heard that the answer is we can't stop it. Once the vote's made, there's no changing it. And I don't know why that is. I would love for someone to tell me why. I suppose it's because we'll get sued, or there's procedural problems. I don't know what they are, but none of them are real issues. If we're destroying a neighborhood and a church and a community, I think we can stop it because it hasn't started yet. I wish we could reconsider.
Mr. Mayor, if I can give something to the clerk?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. And I can email these as well. There's an essay I put together, which you may have read, that I wanted to share with council. And there's a technical document from the
Okay.
fire marshal that we wrote.
Thank you.
First of all, I'm Jim Snyder. My wife and I have a house at 26 on 5th Street, 260 B on 5th Street Southwest. It's one of 6 cottages built 20 plus years ago on a third of an acre. It's actually what I think you all are trying to get done, but I've now been rezoned to 7 stories. So just wanted to mention that there's a lot of bad zoning that was done that I think the council can undo. But I wanted to compliment the mayor. I was there on the 4th of July on a very hot day while he gave a really eloquent talk about the Liberty Bell that happens to reside at the firehouse on Ridge Street. So if you haven't seen it, it's the Virginia Liberty Bell. There's a really fascinating history about it. That station was built to replace the one that was torn down when Vinegar Hill was cleared. And we had the fire chief emeritus there, Julian Telefero, who rang the bell 13 times in sync with what's going on nationally at 2 o'clock, I believe. So you were very eloquent. I appreciate your comments. I've also shared with you all a memo that we sent to the fire marshal asking him to take a look at the emergency issues regarding serving the Fifeville area and the MARC project, which is planned to be built right on the property line of the railroad. They told me that, so there's a detailed technical piece here that has a lot of photographs. The condition of the railroad there, the roadbed, et cetera, is very poor. We're asking for a safety look. You heard today concerns about access. The fire department will not cross 5th Street and 7th Street with their trucks for safety reasons. Today, several times, there were trains that were 7 minutes long blocking 7th Street. There really should be no real big development south of the tracks on Fifeville because right now, you can't get there from here. You have an opportunity now. You've got $20-some million in bonds. Create a roadway that connects the back of the fire department through 4th Street, through those parking lots that go to 5th and go down to 7th Street, so that you actually have a roadway that gives good circulation because you have no access to the community. Very steep hill. You're going to have a tragedy at some point there. Someone needs to know when you have a derailment in the 4 o'clock in the morning when the 7-minute train goes by and the tracks are cracking and something happens. Somebody should know that this was a problem, that you should not have this there. That ought to be looked at with your $29 million. There's a road that needs to be there. There are parking lots there now that could be made to do that. At the same time, the zoning you've put together is going to eliminate the chance to ever enhance and rebuild the Charlottesville station because you're piling more density than is possible, so you will never have passenger service to Richmond in an hour. You need to look at that.
Thank you.
So, I mean, it's real, time is wasting.
Yes, thank you. Anyone in the center here? Anyone else in the center? So you've already spoken, sir.
But if no one else is...
No, we can't with that. We could be here all night. Yes. Anyone else over here like to speak?
Yeah, I don't want to take anyone's
No.
If no one is asking.
No. So if there's no other comments that spoke for the, that hasn't, not previously spoken, is,
the,
I believe he can speak. He spoke at a different section of the meeting.
I can just cite the rule. The rule says that the second community matters portion is for people who do not speak during the first community matters section of the agenda. So if someone spoke at the first community matters, they should not speak at the second community matters.
so are there other comments?
Excuse me?
Yeah.
We didn't hear a word you said.
So if you spoke one time during the public comment,
He's
I'm the
answering the
mayor,
question.
okay? I'm answering your question. If you spoke once during a public hearing, public comment, then that is it, whether it's beginning or at the end. So you speak one time, so.
Can I get
An answer to the question we asked.
Thank you.
It was just we can't hear what he said.
And I just relayed it. Thank you. So if there are no other comments from anyone that has not spoke before, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor, please say yes.
Yes?
Opposed, please say no. Thank you.